network for Detroit, by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Welcome to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. And as you can see for today, sitting in Adam's chair, my guy, Sam Flannel, filling in today. How you doing, Sam?
Well, after watching Lakers win in overtime in Game 4 last night on very little sleep, I am ready to go, and I'm happy as hell. Don't let them win this series and win the finals. Yeah, I will be insufferable.
And I'm going to be honest, as a big NBA fan, I hate West Coast games, but we still got more to get to. JP in the booth, Alex on the ones and twos, and as always, Gabrielle Phillips in the chair as always. Guys, big news. I mean, Aaron Rodgers being traded finally. We kind of assumed it was going to happen. It was a matter of really just when, not if. And here we go. Adam Schefter tweeted it out yesterday. Aaron Rodgers is now a New York Jet. It's official. It's the Jordan Love era for Lions fans. And however you feel about that, whether you're scared of Jordan Love or not, but I'll read some of the compensation the Jets got, as well as the Packers, actually. The Jets get Aaron Rodgers, pick 15, and a 2023 fifth-round pick. The Packers get pick 13. They actually swap first-round picks, which... Okay, you move up 2 spots. They also got a 2023 second-round pick, 42 overall, and they got a 6th-round pick and a conditional 2024 second-round pick that becomes a first if Rodgers plays 65% of the snaps. So for a while, it seemed like the Packers were trying to get first-round picks for him, and all they got, Sam, was a pick swap and a second-round pick and some late assets. For Aaron Rodgers.
For Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he is older. He's not the Aaron Rodgers that he used to be, and he does have that team sucking style contract, but at the same time, nobody knows what Jordan Love is. And as Lions fans, I don't think any of us in any way, shape, or form even remotely fear Jordan Love. So this is a good day for Lions fans, I would say.
And before actually next segment, I want to go through some of what we have planned for today. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers, obviously Ime Udoka being hired by the Houston Rockets. That was a candidate that I talked about for the Pistons as well. JB, later in the show, in the first hour, has a scenario for me and Sam that we're going to go through. And then also the Lions, clear favorites to win their division title, their first division title since 1993. And later on, me and Adam yesterday went through positional rankings in the 2023 draft. We did defensive linemen, and we did corners. Today with Sam Flannel, we're going to do quarterbacks, which I cannot wait. Because I think me and you, I'm curious if we see some of these guys in a similar light. And we're going to find that out in the second hour. But before we get to anything, and real quick, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget you can also watch on WoodwardSports.com. Articles, live scores. You go check that out. We got a ton of talented writers as well as merchandise, which I actually have on under the hoodie here. And you can check this out. The Woodward Sports T-shirts. You guys can get that on the shop as well. And leave us a 5-star rating, whether you listen to Apple Podcasts, which I love Apple preferred over Spotify, but if you listen to Spotify as well, leave a 5-star review. But before we get to any of that, Sam, last night, Lakers played the Memphis Grizzlies, and some weird things happened. LeBron hit a half-court shot. It is what it is. The Grizzlies, even with Ja Morant, they just... It isn't enough. And on top of that, Jimmy Butler, by the way, speaking of overcoming injuries on their roster, Jimmy Butler yesterday probably had one of the best performances I have ever at least seen in recent history. He had, 20 points in the first quarter, ended with 50, and beat the Milwaukee Bucks. And not just the Milwaukee Bucks, Sam. The Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis back.
With Giannis. And that's the thing. Now the Milwaukee Bucks are down 3-1. And that was the team that going in was one of the few that I thought had one of the best chances of winning the championship. Obviously, Giannis was injured for part of the series, but now he's back. The Bucks really needed that game. And Jimmy Butler pretty much put the Heat on his back. I don't think anybody else on the Heat had 20 in that game. And Jimmy Butler gave you 56. We talk about playoff Jimmy, and it comes and goes, but he'll always give you one of those amazing games. But that was the best of his career, no doubt about it. But he's been doing it ever since he was the Bulls. He did it with the T-Wolves. He did it with the 76ers. And now he's doing it with the Heat. I mean, he even led them to a finals one year.
Yeah, big-time players make big-time plays. I mean, for Jimmy Butler to roll out and drop 56 against the Milwaukee Bucks, I guess you could say they were injured last year, but when they were healthy, they were the champs. And Jimmy with no Tyler Hero, and I said it on the show and I said it on From Half Court, I was more worried about the Heat without Tyler Hero than I was in this series, the Bucks without Giannis. Boy, I was wrong.
Yeah.
You go into this game, I mean, Jimmy Butler defied all odds and took him down with 60 points. So screw everything I said.
With all due respect, that was a terrible take, Jeff Iafrate, because it's just Tyler Hero. We're talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo missing games. Yeah. Tyler Hero is just like a spark plug off the bench. A damn good six-man, I will give you that. But we're talking about Giannis here. And honestly, if Giannis were healthy the whole series, I still think the Bucks would be at least 2-2 at this point. But now it's 3-1, and that was the game that the Bucks really needed to win, and they didn't do it. And now let's see if the Miami Heat can close them out. I still think it's a series. I still think Milwaukee can come back and win. And I still think if they come back and win, they can still win the NBA Finals. But you got to get there first. And whether Giannis is there or not for all of the games, you can't lose to an 8 seed.
No, you can't. I'm going to be honest, and listen, I'm not trying to throw strays at the Knicks, but we're kind of primed here for a potential Knicks Eastern Conference appearance. And I'm not trying to jump the gun here, but the Knicks lead the Cavs 3-1. The Heat lead the Bucks 3-1. Now, if both of those teams finish out the series, they face each other. So you'd have a Knicks team facing a Tyler Hero-less Miami Heat. And again, Heat, formidable team. I would probably still go with the Knicks at that point. But can you imagine that?
I can't.
The Knicks. The Knicks, the New York Knicks, make an appearance in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, it would be facing either the 76ers or the Celtics, because I think the Celtics are going to close off the Hawks. But still, why? That to me, at least, someone's got to say it. That's just bad for basketball. Would I much rather have Milwaukee versus Boston? Absolutely. Hell, even Milwaukee versus the 76ers, Philly. But we might actually have a New York Knicks versus the Boston Celtics Eastern Conference Final, which to me would be a layup for the Celtics. It should be. You
would think. But speaking of the New York Knicks, I think all of us, myself included, pretty much everyone at this network, a lot of basketball pundits owe Jalen Brunson a big-time apology because he came into the Knicks as having the best season of his career by far and has helped lead them to the playoffs. He's the best player on this team. And a lot of people were saying that, oh, he's a product of Luka. The Mavs aren't really going to miss him when he's gone. Did it look like they missed Jalen Brunson this year?
Yeah, they did.
They absolutely did. And Jalen Brunson has absolutely balled out. Nobody expected him to be as good as he's been for the New York Knicks, but at the same time, the Knicks were mocked and laughed at. Like, oh, of course they're going to take on Jalen Brunson, overpay him. It's looking good right now, and they're about to win this damn series.
I'm going to be honest. I was one of those people.
I didn't love it either.
I was one of those people.
I said myself included.
To it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't like Jalen. He was short, but hey, he's defying all odds. He's playing well in New York. But JB, I mean, you've been turning in these playoffs. I guess the biggest shock to you, would it be the Heat leading the Bucks 3-1? Or would it be the Knicks leading the Cavaliers 3-1? What's a bigger shock?
I think it's the Knicks leading the Cavs. I mean, even though yesterday, we was expecting a lot from Giannis to come back, the Bucks actually had a 98% chance of winning that game with 5 minutes left, and then just somehow, some way, Jimmy Buckets made a comeback.
Yeah, Jimmy Buckets. It's like that meme of Jimmy leaning over, like a gas, no air left in the bubble where he's leaning over. I feel like that's Jimmy Butler every time he plays for the Miami Heat. Like, they need everything out of Jimmy Butler, and he continues to deliver. So the playoffs, to me, is wide open as it is. It's still entertaining to watch. As much as I give the Knicks crap for potentially being in the Eastern Conference Finals when it's all said and done, I mean, hey, to have new opponents, it's still entertaining. As wide open as the West is too, Sam. I mean, you have like potentially 3 or 4 teams that can make the finals.
Yeah, at this point, I'm trying to think. You got the Nuggets, you've got the Warriors, you got the Suns, you've got the Lakers. I could see them all making a run at this point. But it's all wide open, especially if the Milwaukee Bucks get bounced in the first round.
Shock.
I mean, you could even see a team, and I'm not calling for this at all. Can you just imagine if the Knicks maybe get a little bit of injury luck on their side and somehow make the finals? That would just be absurd, but it's on the table now.
Now, speaking of the NBA, Alex, if you could, there was something happened on Big D Energy yesterday.
Yes.
All right, and you and Neil got into it, which, again, 11 to 1 weekdays, tune in, because it's hilarious, the dynamic between you and Neil specifically. And yesterday, you guys got in a little of a disagreement. Alex, do you have the clip? Because JB had it loaded up for you if you could, but I want to pull this up so people can see it if you didn't catch it live. This is Sam Flannel, Neil Rule discussing J-Mo, and I believe Cade was brought up somehow, some way. And, if you know Neil, He knows how to poke your buttons. All right, it is what it is. He's a professional at it. That's why I love Neil so much. But tune into this clip here. Alex, throw this up for everybody, and you could judge for yourself.
Aiden Hutchinson, right?
Yeah.
We had the 29th ranked defense last year,
and
right?
I'll tell you what, I hammered
Did
him
we?
at the beginning. Yeah.
Did we?
I mean,
well,
it was
keep
like
that
20
energy then.
Okay, but he was the rookie leader in sacks.
We had the 29th ranked defense.
He was the rookie leader in sacks. Jamison Williams had 1 catch for 41 yards and 1 carry for 40 yards. There's a difference. There's a little bit of a difference.
Well, hey, keep that same energy. That's a 29th rank. I'm giving you analytics, Flannel.
Hey, Jamison Williams, all I'm saying is I really hope and think that he will produce when he gets back. I'm praying, but he hasn't produced yet. Let him do it.
He hasn't played.
But he's costing himself 6 more games.
Chili Damon says, by Flannel's logic, Cade Cunningham is a bust also. Bust alert. Cade Cunningham's on bust alert.
Fucking rookie season, dumbass.
Too?
I guess so.
God damn.
Oh, come on, man. Why does Cade have to be on bust alert?
I guess he's on bust alert. I don't know.
A whole rookie season, you dumbass.
We cracked
Not
the flannel.
you, the person.
We cracked the flannel.
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh. Sam, I'll let you give some background there. So what happened? Who brought up Cade Cunningham? And I love Neil's response. I'm just using analytics, Sam. He knows how to poke your buttons.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of background. So Neil Rule is in the camp. I think that he's letting Jamison Williams off a little bit easy because it is factual that when this suspension is over, in his first year and a third, he will have given you 1 catch and 1 carry. I get it was for 41 yards and 40 yards respectively, but that is not good enough. I would have been able to give it a pass if he wouldn't have gotten himself suspended for 6 games, but the fact is that he did. And we've argued about it, and I would argue that Jamison Williams, at least at this point, in terms of availability, is a little bit on bust alert. And obviously the rest of the panel didn't like that too much. And this guy, Chili Damon is actually who it was, who is in the chat right now. He compared the Jamison Williams situation to the Cade Cunningham situation, which is the most asinine thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. People are giving Jamison Williams such a pass. People act like he actually produced anything his rookie year. He basically was a net nothing on this team. People act like he played 1 game. He played 6. He had 1 catch, and then in 4 games, 0, 0, 0, 0. That happened. Cade Cunningham had an entire rookie season in which you could make a very, very strong argument that he deserved Rookie of the Year. He actually produced. I know we all think he deserved Rookie of the Year. Yeah, he went down in last season, but he actually had a year of production. That's what drives me crazy about these people. And, of course, Neil Rule will find a way to sort of prop it up and make his argument make sense. It makes absolutely no sense. God, these people are going to put me into an early grave.
Well, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday about J-Mo and the situation and how much stock I'm buying into it. I got to be honest, I'm more on Neil's side. I get where Neil, he kind of overextends a little bit, and Neil's Neil. But at the end of the day, I kind of do agree with where Neil. We talked about this before your show yesterday. Hey, what do you expect a guy to do? Not post on social media, I understand that, but I'm not mad at all he's at the fight. Like Neil said, he's a grown man. He can do whatever he wants. As long as he shows up on Sunday and produces, I think that's all that matters. To your point, technically he hasn't really done that. So we got to see it. We can't just act like J-Mo. He has all the talent in the world, but we got to see it with my own 2 eyes. And I saw a little bit of it last year, but we need to see more of it. And after 6 games, you'll be able to see it.
And that's what I'm saying. Once he actually comes back and shows us, I will, if he does, because at this point it's still a question mark, I think he will, then I will obviously stand up and cheer for him. And I'm hoping by the end of the season we forget that he ever was suspended. I don't care that he's going to Vegas. It's not a character thing for me. With Jamison Williams, it's all about availability. And even though the rule is stupid, the fact that he got himself suspended for the first 6 games of this season after basically having a lost rookie year, it's a problem.
Yeah.
And you better hope that the Lions don't lose a game 20-17 or something like that, or their offense takes a little bit of a dip, because at that point, Jamison Williams will come under fire. He just will, because he's expected to be one of their top weapons. Certainly probably number 2 after Amon-Ra St. Brown.
That might be a problem, but it's not a problem, right?
What is that?
If I need to get my hair cut, where do I
Absolutely.
go?
You go to Lady Jane's without a shadow of a doubt, because Lady Jane's is where I get my haircut and has me looking this fly every day. I come home to my wife and she goes like, damn, nice haircut, every single time. So stop making fun. Walk into any Lady Jane's for any award-winning haircut experience and automatically enter for your chance to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice, courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. That's right, 2 cars, one for you and one for your wife, girlfriend, or best bud. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
The sports marketing agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zaniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show. We're so happy to have you here. If you're watching on woodwardsports.com, please be sure to check out all of our articles, all the breaking news, the store, great merchandise as we're leading up to the draft. As always, leave a 5-star review on our podcast and subscribe on YouTube.
Sam Flannel, I got to ask you, man. Like, I'm just being real. Aaron Rodgers on the Jets. Okay. Like, what does this do for them?
You know what?
Because I'm in the camp of, I believe the Jets, they had to do this move. It didn't work out with Zach Wilson. They needed a quarterback. They have a good roster, good defense. They have some weapons. Robert Saleh, not sold on completely, but they did bring in Nathaniel Hackett. It seems like they were pretty much priming for Aaron Rodgers to be a New York Jet. But now that he is a New York Jet, before we get to the NFC North and how it affects the Lions, what does this mean for the Jets? How much higher does their ceiling raise with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback?
See, Jeff, I think you're being a little bit too flippant about Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets, because we have to remember that the Jets were competing for a playoff spot up until the end of the year with Zach Wilson, Mike White, and Joe Flacco's corpse as their quarterbacks. Ooh. One of the worst quarterback situations in all of the NFL. And don't get me wrong, Aaron Rodgers isn't even close to what he used to be. And we all know that there is some baggage and a headache that you get with having Aaron Rodgers on this team. But we have to also remember that this is a roster that's been constructed around that has some players. You got Garrett Wilson, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Sauce Gardner, Defensive Rookie of the Year, All-Pro corner as a rookie, arguably the best corner in the league. He's basically prime Darrelle Revis as a rookie, and you think he's only going to get better. You got Quinnen Williams on the defensive line. Breece Hall, who, if he didn't get hurt, probably would have been in the running for Rookie of the Year, because on a per-game basis, he was absolutely electric. And then you got a guy like C.J. Mosley at the linebacking core. So to me, Aaron Rodgers, if you put him on the New York Jets, which you are now doing, this is a team that can absolutely compete for a playoff spot. And once they get into the playoffs, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they do some damage. I think a lot of Lions fans disrespect Aaron Rodgers a little bit too much and discount the fact that he is going to come in and be so much better than what they had last year. And he has a lot of talent around him. Arguably, if everything pans out, one of the best rosters he's ever had.
Okay. No, all that sounds great. Like, really,
right.
I think you did a really good job laying it out. It sounds beautiful. But shame on 47% of you in the poll that said they're contenders. Shame on you. Shame on you. Are they a playoff contender? Yeah. Contender. As in, for a Super Bowl? No. What evidence do I have to go off of? He was in an easier conference. He had a good roster with the Packers, easy division to win, and you're telling me he couldn't do it then, but now in the AFC in a much tougher division, in a much tougher conference, he's going to win, or he's a contender now? Hell no. No, he's not. The Jets, to me, and this is why the whole Aaron Rodgers move, it's out of desperation. But still, you're telling me the Jets are legitimate Super Bowl contenders with the Bengals, the Chiefs. I don't even have to go any further. We'll just stop there. Because those are the two teams in the AFC title game last year. The Jets aren't beating either of them. I'm sorry. It's just not happening. If Aaron couldn't do it in the NFC with Aaron Jones, right? He had a good run game, solid run game, even with Jamal Williams, Devontae Adams. They had a good defense, whether you want to say it or not. They had talent. And you talk about first-round exits consistently. And now in the AFC, in a much tougher conference, in a much harder division with the Bills, Patriots, and Dolphins in his own division, the chat, 48% of you are telling me they're contenders.
the only thing.
Am I crazy, Sam?
Here's why you're not crazy. And this is the one piece of evidence that I will give you that I actually agree with. They're not beating the Chiefs. They're not beating the Bengals. They might not even beat the Bills or even the Jacksonville Jaguars at this point. But this idea that Aaron Rodgers, first off, you completely discount the Super Bowl that he actually won. I know a lot of people forget that, but he actually won the Super Bowl and had one of the best Super Bowl performances ever. And did you know that in his playoff career, Aaron Rodgers, 45 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, has a higher career playoff passer rating than Tom Brady and a higher career yards per attempt in the playoffs than Tom Brady, but Tom Brady is the GOAT and Aaron Rodgers is a choker. I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers is a better playoff quarterback than Tom Brady. I'm just saying that it is a team game. And Aaron Rodgers, I would say more often than he's been bad in the playoffs, he has been unlucky. This team, I keep saying it, I said it at the very beginning, last year's quarterbacks for the New York Jets were Mike White, Zach Wilson, and old-ass Joe Flacco. Aaron Rodgers is an immense upgrade over them. But let me just give this one other angle, and I'm kind of curious to see what you think about this, Jeff. Mm-hmm. This just shows how you can draft as well as the Jets have recently. As I just mentioned, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall last year, and then having Quinnen Williams a few years ago, he's still on the team. If you don't get your quarterback right, there is a finite ceiling. Just imagine if Zach Wilson was giving you what Trevor Lawrence is giving you for Jacksonville. Oh, yeah. Hell, imagine if he was giving you what Mac Jones was giving the Patriots and Justin Fields was giving the Bears. You wouldn't need to go out and get Aaron Rodgers. You'd probably be a contending team right now.
With that, Zach Wilson on a rookie contract, which is even more valuable.
But Zach Wilson, even though he's on a rookie contract, he's terrible. He blows. He's basically the reincarnation of Josh Rosen. He has shown you absolutely nothing that he is an NFL quarterback. But if he was, I could see the Jets being contenders. The ideal scenario isn't for the Jets staff to go out and get Aaron Rodgers, trade for him, take on his contract, all that stuff. It would be for Zach Wilson to actually not suck at quarterback. But here we are.
JB, I need your thoughts on it, man. Aaron Rodgers, New York Jets, what does this mean for them? Are they Super Bowl contenders, playoff contenders? Where do you stand with them? With the Jets, the new look New York Jets.
The new look New York Jets. I'm not going as far as saying they're playoff contenders or Super Bowl contenders, but playoffs, you have to give them a look. You really have to. Adding Aaron Rodgers, even though we might not agree, we might dislike him as much as everyone else, like, he's still Aaron Rodgers. As Stephen A. Smith says, a bad, bad man. And with a lot of the weapons that the Jets have acquired for Aaron Rodgers, like, come on, you're just serving up playoffs for him, just serving it up.
And I love this too. Big Con 51, WoodwardSports.com. Jeff, did you think the Bucs were Super Bowl contenders first year Brady was there? Alex, put the camera on me. What do you think?
Stop it. Get some help.
Jeff, let me rephrase that question. Jeff, do you think the greatest quarterback of all time on a stacked roster was a Super Bowl contender? Yeah, I did. Aaron Rodgers? You talk about postseason success with Tom Brady, they're not even in the same breath. And I know what Sam's saying, because individually, Aaron Rodgers, I mean, one of the most talented quarterbacks you've ever seen. I'm talking about postseason. And yes, you can say whatever you want about Tom Brady, but I have evidence. I don't really have it with Aaron Rodgers, despite I've seen home playoff games where he loses. So, no, it's different. Yes, with the Bucs. No, with the Jets right now. And honestly, on top of that, you're forgetting a big part of that. Bruce Arians was the head coach of the Bucs. You're going into Robert Saleh. And listen, Dearborn native, I get all of that. But what do I have with Robert Saleh? I got one season with 4 different quarterbacks, but they 7-3 to pretty much going almost 500. I don't have a lot of evidence with Robert Saleh to confidently say they're Super Bowl contenders. That would be idiotic of me to say that.
Well, Robert Saleh is also a defensive coach, and I've always been into the camp, at least in the modern era of football. Despite Robert Saleh showing some things as a coach that he has potential, I would hire an offensive guy personally, at least when it comes to grooming a young quarterback, which they tried to do with Zach Wilson. That obviously failed. And Bruce Arians, he doesn't get enough credit for being...
Mm-hmm. He already had a Super Bowl before.
I would say he's maybe not an offensive guru, but he is one of the more talented offensive minds in the last 10, 15, 20 years at that point. So I get it. The Bucs were obviously Super Bowl contenders once Brady got there, but I'm glad you mentioned they had quite a good roster, because the year before, they almost made the playoffs with Jameis Winston throwing 33 touchdowns and 30 picks.
30 for 30 season.
So all Tom Brady had to do was come in, play his game, not turn the football over, and they turned into Super Bowl contenders, which they won that year. I'll give him that. even though their defense held the Patrick Mahomes-led Kansas City Chiefs to 9 points in the Super Bowl. That doesn't. I mean, obviously that doesn't matter to Tom Brady fans, but that did happen.
So I have a question for you guys. How do you think this relationship between him and Zach Wilson is going to pan out?
God,
knowing who Aaron is, like, I mean, Aaron is, if you talk about ego, he's got a huge ego. So I don't think Aaron would view it as it's my job to coach Zach Wilson, just like it wasn't his job. He didn't feel like to coach Jordan Love. I mean, I think, he's probably going to be willing to lend him a helping hand, but at the end of the day, I think Aaron Rodgers realizes, hey, bud, your team brought me here because you couldn't do it. So, that's the whole thing. That's why one thing I do agree with Aaron Rodgers about is people assume it's his job to groom his backup quarterback, Jordan Love, or now Zach Wilson. No, it isn't. It isn't. I'm sorry. He could do it. It would be nice like Alex Smith with Patrick Mahomes, but he doesn't have to. So, for relationship, to answer the question, I think he might just be like, hey, what up, Zach? Yeah, you're my backup now. But, maybe in practice I'll give you a tip or two, but that's about it. I don't think Aaron and Zach are going to be tied at the hip, talking all the time. I don't see that.
I agree with that. That's an interesting question, Gabby. I think it could potentially be one of the worst relationships that like an old quarterback, an old superstar quarterback, and a young quarterback have. We talk about Aaron Rodgers. We obviously talk about somebody who doesn't really have any interest in grooming the young quarterbacks, and I don't actually blame him for that, for the record.
I don't either.
And Zach Wilson, he has shown that he's not really a high character kind of guy, like him standing on a podium after leading the Jets to 3 points and the defense gave up 3 in a punt return and basically said, I couldn't do any better, or whatever he said. He took absolutely no accountability for that garbage performance. So to me, they might not even be on speaking terms at some point. They might not even really talk during practices. I think it's as bad of a combination when it comes to personalities as can possibly be. You can't get much worse than Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson.
And Gabby, I guess Cody answered your question. He said Rodgers can't even get along with his family, let alone his backup.
That's true.
So,
great point.
Yeah, you know what? If he can't get along with his family, I doubt he's going to get along with Zach Wilson.
And Aaron Rodgers, know that he has this much respect for Zach Wilson.
Oh my, yeah.
I mean, honestly, Zach Wilson has shown you nothing as an NFL quarterback, and he's shown that he's a little bit of a punk. And as I said before, he sucks at quarterback right now, or at least at NFL quarterback. So to me, and also Aaron Rodgers, there's no threat Zach Wilson gives.
And what about Zach Wilson's comments that he said, hey, I'm going to make that guy's life a living hell?
That's
think
funny.
That's going to happen?
Wait, he said that about who?
Well, he just said that about whoever the quarterback, the veteran quarterback that was going to come into camp. So, do you guys believe that? Yes or no?
The only thing that will be a living hell is watching him throw the football, which has already been for his first couple of years.
Yeah, it's been a living hell just watching Zach Wilson on national television. So I think we've got enough of that, Zach. Thank you, though, for your gesture. It's very kind of you. But we'll just keep watching Aaron Rodgers. I think it's much more as much as I want to critique Aaron and call the Jets not legitimate Super Bowl contenders, I'd much rather watch Aaron Rodgers for 17 games than anything worthy of Zach Wilson. Hell, I liked Mike White better. And Mike White's over in Miami now, backing up to him.
Mike White actually had some good games and some highs, which Zach Wilson did not have.
He threw for 300 yards, twice. And he threw for 400, I believe, once.
Mike White is one of those guys that I think will be best as a career backup. He can come in and give you spot starts that actually keep your team afloat. But, Jeff, Zach Wilson's the MILF hunter, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Obviously, he's a dog, right?
He's smooth. Yeah, he
F that.
See all the things you say about Zach. You notice how they're all off the field. The compliments. He's a MILF hunter. What can you do on the field? That's the question.
Nothing.
I wish I could defend him a little bit since I was called his doppelganger last week on the show. I wish I could defend him a little bit, but I just can't.
You got nothing.
I got nothing.
See, Zach, not even Gabby has anything for you. So if that should tell you a lot. We're going to go to break. When we come back, I want to get into this Ime Udoka talk. And by the way, feel free. I'm going to put the number in the chat, 313-552-6322. Call in. Whether you want to talk about Aaron Rodgers, Ime Udoka, the Pistons head coach search, whatever you want to discuss, call in. Tell JB, and we'll make sure we'll try to get you on the line. But before we do that, Gabby, can you tell everybody at home about our friends over at Cintron?
Yeah, you don't want to miss out right now. Cintron has an exclusive offer for Woodward Sports listeners to get a exclusive Red Wing 6-pack. That's a Red Wing 6-pack for $15 plus free shipping. Head to drinkcintron.com/Woodward and try it today. That's drinkcintron.com/Woodward.
You've heard of Gordon Ramsay. You've heard of Bobby Flay. But Thursday night Master Chef Brad Holmes will be in the kitchen with all of the ingredients needed to make a great dish on draft night. Join Woodward Sports for our 3rd annual Woodward Sports Draft Party live at 5th Avenue in Royal Oak. The past 2 years, these parties have been standing room only, so get your tickets early at eventbrite.com. Don't miss out on all the fun with Braylon Edwards, Ryan Ermanni, Neil Rule, Darren McCarty, and the entire Woodward Sports crew. The party starts at 7:30 p.m. Don't miss the biggest draft party in the Motor City, brought to you by the biggest network, Woodward Sports.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan.
Join the Pepper Club for all the best deals in town. Plus, they will beat all competitors by $5. ChiliPeppersTanning.com. Hottest bulbs, hottest deals, darkest tans. Your vitamin D headquarters.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Jeff Iafrate here. Let me tell you about our friends over at Alta, because at Alta, uptime matters. Alta Equipment has everything you need to get the job done. If you have a big project coming up, Alta Rent has you covered. Call them today, 844-GO-TO-ALTA, 844-GO-TO-ALTA today. We're back halfway through the first hour, Morning Woodward Show, woodwardsports.com. If you're listening on the website, don't forget, check out the articles, check out the merchandise. Got a lot of talented writers. And if you're listening, you can always go back and listen. If you missed the show live, Apple, Spotify, any podcast app you listen to, leave a 5-star review and show some love. But we got a lot more to get into. Lions, Ime Udoka. We do have a caller on the line, JB. But before we do all that, I do want to say, too, Thursday, draft day. Big day for Detroit. Big day for Woodward Sports. We'll be down at 5th Ave. Get your tickets. It's all over social media. It's on my Twitter. You can go to woodwardsports.com as well, but it's on Eventbrite. We'll be at 5th Ave, 7:30. Gabby, I believe it is. 7:30?
7:30
Yes.
The event starts, but the doors open at 5, and the doors to upstairs where we will be open at 6.
It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to want to get down there. Everybody from Woodward Sports will be down there. I want to get a chance to meet all of you. But, JB, we have Abe on the line, Jets fan. Big Jets fan.
Yes,
we
do.
And I want to get to Abe before we move on. Abe, what's going on, my man? What do you want to discuss?
Hey, I was going to talk about the Lions draft. Is that not what the big news of the day is?
No. Let's chop it up.
No? Oh, dude, listen. First of all, you guys know I love you, and you knew I was going to talk to you on this most glorious of days. Aaron Rodgers coming to the Jets is just about as big of a day as January of 1969 when the Jets won the Super Bowl. Now, I'm not saying the Jets are going to win the Super Bowl, but it's for the first time since then the Jets are a relevant franchise. Realistically, since Rex Ryan left the Jets, we have been an utter disgrace and embarrassment to the National Football League. And bringing Aaron Rodgers, Hall of Famer, MVP from just 2 years ago, onto a team with a top 5 defense and legitimate weapons, I'm not saying they're winning the Super Bowl. That's ludicrous to just go out there and believe that. But they are absolutely contenders day one.
Where do you rank them in your own division, Abe? What do you got them?
It's between them and Buffalo. Buffalo has shown me nothing. Like when they play real teams, they kind of fold half the time. But it's going to be between the Jets and the Bills come division time.
No Miami?
Bro, is Tua ever playing again? Dude already wants to retire. You trust him to play 17 games? Get out of here.
I'm just saying. Hey, don't forget about Miami. Jalen Ramsey. They got Bradley Chubb. If Tua's healthy, I'm just saying. Don't forget about Miami.
No.
Listen, this is a Jets fan.
Miami's
everybody.
The biggest choke artist.
This is a Jets fan. You get Aaron Rodgers, and now you're pumping your chest out. You feel like, hey, we're on the same level as the Bills. I get it. Listen, I understand it.
Hell yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm just saying, you might be arguably the third best team in your own division, Abe.
No, no chance, bro. No chance.
Hey,
we have the best defense. We have the best defense in the AFC. Best defense in the AFC.
Okay.
And of all the receivers in the AFC East, Garrett Wilson is arguably up there with Steph Diggs and Tyreek Hill already. Dude put up 1,100 yards with Zach Wilson and Joe Flacco throwing him the ball.
You can take that one,
No,
Sam.
Abe, I actually, for the most part, agree with you. I was the one on this desk that actually propped up this move that I think Aaron Rodgers can make them, at the very, very least, a high-end playoff team. And I think they might even challenge for the division. So I understand completely where you're at there. I mean, they've got Quinnen Williams, Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner, C.J. Mosley, Breece Hall. They've got a damn good roster. And Aaron Rodgers is a clear upgrade over what they had last year, the Zach Wilson, Mike White, Joe Flacco experience. But I also don't think that Garrett Wilson, you can't say he's on Steph Diggs or Tyreek Hill's level yet. But although he had a damn good rookie year and his trajectory is extremely high, he was Offensive Rookie of the Year. You can't take that away from him.
That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying. He's on that trajectory. But, and one last thing. The whole is Aaron Rodgers going to coach up Zach Wilson and all that. So it's not Aaron Rodgers' responsibility. Aaron Rodgers has clearly shown in the past with Jordan Love he doesn't want to be that guy. But when Zach Wilson was drafted, Aaron Rodgers was one of the first guys that actually reached out to Zach Wilson. Obviously, they're on different teams, and the situations were very different then. But the two of them have a relationship already. Mm-hmm. And Zach Wilson is going in there knowing, like, I'm not playing a single snap this year. If I play any snaps whatsoever, it's a failure of a season for us. So I think there could be some learning behind the scenes, but no, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to put Zach Wilson in his pocket and bring him around the the facilities and teach him everything he can. But Zach Wilson now has an opportunity to learn from Aaron Rodgers if he so chooses to do so.
I think that's perfectly said, Abe. Thanks for calling, man. Appreciate it. Jets perspective, I know you're excited. It's going to be a big year for you guys. And as much as I will say I don't believe you're Super Bowl contenders, I think the Jets are going to be able to make some noise this year. But we'll see. It's an exciting season. Thanks for calling, Abe. All right, JB, who else we got on the line? We're going to get to some more callers because I do want to make sure I get to the people.
All right, I will send you guys Thomas.
All right, Thomas. Thanks for calling the show, the Morning Woodward Show, my man. What do you want to discuss?
I want to talk about J-Mo, and I want to kind of defend Sam Flannel a little bit.
Okay, all right. What's going on?
So last year, you kind of look at where we ended up in the season, and we were so close to playoffs. And if we would have had, J-Mo for the entire season, there's a lot of those games where we drafted him to be an X factor, and he could have been an X factor to win us one of those games, and that could have sent us to playoffs. So missing 6 games is not nothing. We can't say it's nothing. Yes, we should be a playoff team without him for the first 6 games, but what if that costs us the NFC North?
No, I mean, for the record, I don't necessarily fault J-Mo for missing the first 10 or so games of last season because we already knew that. Brad almost already knew that coming into the season. The only reason that I think he fell to 12 and the Lions were able to trade up and get him was because he came in hurt. But I agree with your point. The people acting like these 6 games the first 6 games of next year is just nothing and he's going to come back in week 7 and just hit the ground running and the Lions aren't going to miss a beat. That is a little bit of fairy tale level stuff if you ask me. I understand that the offense looked basically elite without him last year, but they're also not bringing back DJ Chark. Yeah. I'm not saying that that's going to be the biggest deal in the world. I'm just not saying you can't count on that next year. And just imagine, and I said this before, just imagine if the offense takes a little bit of a dip, that maybe they're not in the top 10 in scoring in the first 6 games. It's going to look really, really, really bad for J-Mo. It's going to have to come back on him because he got himself suspended. Is it a stupid rule? Sure, but it is a rule. And he broke it, and now he's going to have to suffer the consequences. And if the Lions suffer because of that, maybe then people will finally slightly criticize Jamison Williams, which apparently is illegal to do in Woodward sports nowadays, or else you'll get crushed. So thank you for having my back, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Thomas, thanks for the call. Thanks for sharing your thoughts.
Yeah.
And
thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. You're welcome back anytime. I want to address what Thomas said, too, because although I understand that not having J-Mo the first games will certainly hurt them because it's better to have him than not to. But if you look back last year, the stretch where they went 8-2, you said it yourself, Sam, you didn't really do much, Jamison Williams. Even though I feel like he did, the times he did touch the ball, there was production, but to your point, it's not like he had a ton of opportunity out there anyway. So to your point, yes, he didn't do much in those 10 games, in the 6 that he played specifically. But also, DJ Chark was unhealthy. So you're telling me without Chark, for the most part, and no Jamison Williams, you still went 8-2 down the stretch. And we didn't even talk about the offseason and the draft, which this team got better at the secondary. They're going to get better on the defensive line. They're going to be able to add pieces, maybe draft a wide receiver in the late rounds. Like, to me, Jamison Williams not being there the first 6 games shouldn't move the needle that much.
It shouldn't.
Like, it shouldn't. Like, although it might hurt them, I don't think it'll, like the caller brought up, what if it hurts their chances to win the NFC North? It shouldn't.
It shouldn't. But what if it hurts their opportunity to win maybe one game? I'm just speaking hypotheticals here, but what if the Lions lose a game, God forbid, at like Soldier Field or something like that, where the final score is something like 21-17, and Jared Goff doesn't look so good?
Well,
it could happen.
It definitely could happen.
And that's not going to look very, very good for Jamison Williams. All I'm saying is at some point, Lions fans, you have to demand that Jamison Williams, your prize pick, the guy that Brad Holmes moved all that way up for, you have to demand that he's a star. You can't just live on the fact that, every time he touched the ball, it was for 40-plus yards and one of them was for a touchdown. All 2 of them. 2. You guys act like he actually was productive. He was not productive. He was a net 0 player for this team last year, and he's going to be a net 0 player for the first 6 games of next year. Mm-hmm. The people acting like that doesn't matter, I think, are fools. They're letting him off the hook easily. Let him actually produce for the 11 games that he's back, and then I will be all back on board, but not a moment sooner.
Yeah, and on top of that, too, that's why I always advocate when we talk about the NFL draft and what the Lions should do. I push a lot for a player like Beydoun Robinson, although I think he'll be gone by 18. But the point I always make is it's never a bad thing to add to an offense that's already elite. Like, sure. Because of situations like this where J-Mo's out, okay, but you still have a potential Beydoun or another player you draft for your offense. So that's why I always push to still draft offensive players. But for me, if people defend Swift, right, I always believe, and I still believe Swift won't be healthy this year. He never is. But let's say he is. You still have Swift, right? That's your guys' running back, right? If he's healthy, he'll be productive. You have David Montgomery you just signed. Like, the offense, it should still be productive, and the defense is going to be much, much better. So, again, could it affect him? Yes. Do I think it will? No. Maybe it hurts him a game, to your point, but overall, if Jamison Williams is the deciding factor between winning the NFC North and not winning it, then I think you have some other issues to address other than just Jamison Williams.
Well, the Lions, obviously, I think they have the depth to withstand that. I still think that they should be the favorite to win the NFC North. Obviously, their defense got a lot better, especially their secondary got completely revamped. Another year of Aiden Hutchinson, another year of the other rookies, Houston Rodriguez and Kirby Joseph. I understand that fully and completely. And speaking of DeAndre Swift, he's another one that's kind of a bane of my existence right now, because coming into last season, I obviously was one of those guys that nobody was higher on him than me. I stood in that booth and said, DeAndre Swift will lead the NFC in rushing this year. But the reality is, for everybody who's saying that he's going to come back and have a great contract year, which some people do say that, including Neil Rule, to the shock of absolutely no one, DeAndre Swift's career high in rushing yards in a season is 617. And oh my God, he's a great receiver. His career high in receiving yards for a season is 452. So let's just pump the brakes a little bit on that.
You're picking fights with Neil, even though you're not on the same show right now.
Well,
it's going to transcend to the next show.
It's eating him alive. That's
as you know, though, we go at it like a pack of wild dogs on the show. We probably will again.
And that's why I find myself agreeing with Neil, not on everything, but in the point of, like, this doesn't really change much for me. Like, I don't believe Jamison is any less talented than he was before being suspended.
Sure.
Like, I mean, the guy's still going to work in the offseason. He's been working. If you follow him on social media, he's still the same player. Now, are there maturity concerns? Yes, I believe that. I think that's something that hopefully the 6-game suspension will kind of adjust itself. Maybe he'll have some self-reflection to think about what he's done. But still, it's not about what he did, it's where he did it. Like, that's the problem, right? It's not about betting, because he didn't bet on the NFL. He bet, but he was on NFL grounds. He was on Lions property. So that's where he messed up. Do I think the 6 games changes the trajectory of his career? No, I don't.
No.
I just think that the process of us waiting for Jamison Williams just gets delayed a little bit, which is frustrating. Don't get me wrong. It's frustrating. But does it change what I think about J-Mo? No. The guy still runs a 4.25. Like,
sure.
I mean, what are we doing?
Sure.
And the suspension tears ACL. Like, he's okay.
And I think he's going to be great. I'm hoping that he comes in. Like, for me, his ceiling is something along the lines of what Jalen Waddle was last year. A guy that makes all kinds of good plays, is among the league leaders in yards per catch, and turns those slants into 70-yard touchdowns. I expect Jamison Williams to do that. My thing has always been he hasn't done that yet. He's still a relative unknown when it comes to his production, not his talent. People act like he's already done something. He hasn't. Will he do something when he comes back? He better. You got to demand he's productive.
Yeah. I think it's important to hold players accountable, just like a defense will hold you accountable, and that's guarding alarm. If you want protection, I got it for you. It's customized solutions from real experts from Guardian Alarm. They're professional technicians. Take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call them anytime, day or night. Know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone with you for as long as you need. Technology backed by people as well. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and from people who have been proven to care. Call 1-800-STAY-OUT for more information.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Kroger's, and if you wanna know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You can get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
We are the network for Detroit by Detroiters. Welcome to the Woodward Sports Network.
Are you feeling tired, depressed, or unmotivated? Low sex drive, muscle loss, or belly fat? Well, Jeff, go to Custom Health. Testosterone optimization therapy is a safe and effective way to restore your vitality, confidence, and performance, and reduce heart disease. Visit CustomHealthCenters.com today. That's CustomHealthCenters.com, or you could call them at 877-965-0910. That is 877-965-0910. That's Custom Health Centers.
So where are you guys going to be on Thursday at 7:30?
Oh, we'll be down at 5th Ave in Royal Oak for the Woodward Sports 2023 NFL Draft Party, which if you're not there, like, what are you doing? Like, why didn't you buy your tickets? Why aren't you going? Like, there's a lot of questions I have for you. And if you want to go down there, hang out with the Woodward Sports crew, debate whether Jameis in the first 6 games it'll affect their record or not, you head over to 5th Ave and you come check it out. $10 only for a ticket.
Only $10?
$10? Are you kidding me? It's like I mean, you could, rather than go get your large, Starbucks coffee with your,
whipped cream on top.
With your whipped cream on top. Or
a hot chocolate if you're draft.
Yeah, or a hot chocolate if you're me. Don't do that one day and come to 5th Ave and come hang out with us. But I want to get to some more callers because there's still a lot of people on the line that feel some type of way. And by the way, Elgato, will T. Foss be there? You know T. Foss is going to be there showing love. So, JB, you could throw the next person on the line. We'll get him on.
All right, I got you. It's your favorite person, Jeff.
Oh, gosh.
It's Terrell from FL.
Terrell from FL. How you doing, my man? my arch nemesis. How are you doing?
That is not true, Jeff. You need to stop that shit. The only time you and I ever argue is when you talk shit about Garrett. That's it. Other than that, we're good. You even got me on the Beydoun side, bro.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we do.
You even got me on that side of the fence.
The arch nemesis stuff, it's a false narrative. I'm doing good, Terrell. I'm doing well. It's been a long time, no talk. I'm hanging up here with Sam Flannel. And I'm kind of nervous. I don't know what you want to discuss. I don't know what to expect from you all the time.
Well, the first thing I wanted to say is that you need a fucking haircut, bro. You're starting to look like Sonic the Hedgehog out here, motherfucker. So,
damn.
Like, come on.
I gotta go to Lady Jane's. All right. Give me some break.
Up.
Give me a break. All right. Lady Jane's gonna take care of me. All right, Terrell, get on with the convo. What else you got to talk about?
Man. Right. I'm in a good mood. I'm literally walking on the beach right now in Florida. I'm 10 feet away from the water. Can you hear it?
Okay, you're just bragging. All right, Terrell. Quit bragging. We're over here in 40-degree weather.
I just want to, bro, where's my little brother at? You guys just had a week off. Where the hell is Adam? Why is he being a bum?
Adam is, as many of the listeners understand, he's sick every other 3 days. So we have to kind of accommodate with Adam. And today Sam Flanagan was nice enough to step up. But, yeah, he's not feeling well. Poor Adam.
Poor Adam. All right, well, I hope he's listening. I like Sam, though, too, but I actually have to defend Sam a little bit.
Wow.
I am, in lockstep with him as far as J-Mo goes. It's weird to me watching our fan base break down Jameson because half of them are severely overreacting and saying, oh, my God, we're going to come out with things, blah, blah, blah. And they sound ridiculous. And then the other half of the fan base is making excuses for him, acting like this isn't going to affect anything, and we're going to be good anyway, and it shouldn't matter, and blah, blah, blah. And it's actually right in between like Sam is. Last year does not matter at all as far as J-Mo goes. We all knew that.
Right.
This year, he was expected to come in and be our most high-powered weapon on offense. And for people to sit around and say, well, it's not going to matter because we were good last year anyway, that is not the point. The point is this year he was supposed to come in and take the pressure off of everybody else to make the whole offense better, and now he's not there because he was being a dumbass kid. Now, I understand that he's young and he's going to make mistakes and all that stuff, but this is not good behavior. This is not what we want to see out of him. I do think that he'll grow out of it, but the problem is that when you bring a dude in like that who's supposed to be a game changer, if we, just like you were saying a minute ago, if we lose a close game that he could have been there to change by a couple points one way or the other, and we don't get a home playoff game in the second round because of that, that's on him, bro. That's literally at his feet. You are putting us in a position where we could literally have to go on the road in the playoffs instead of fucking playing a home playoff game. And that is a major, major damaging thing to us. So all those people out there, I disagree with y'all. We're going to be fine anyway. Yeah, we should win the division without him, but that's not the point. The point is later on in the playoffs, when we have to go on the road or at home. That's the point I wanted to make. I agree with Sam.
So, although I get what you're saying, because early on in the season, it's important. That's where you want to get your momentum. The Lions, historically, over the last 2 years with Dan Campbell, haven't started the greatest. So I get what the concern is. But, Tyrell, I would ask you, after 6 games, he's back. So if you're talking about in the 6-game stretch, how much do you think not having Jameson will influence this team? I guess that's the question. Is not having Jameson, how much will that move the needle besides being a team that can win the NFC North and a team that can't?
Well, I think that we're going to win the NFC North regardless. Okay. I do agree with, that half of the fan base that says if we don't, if we don't win the division because of him, we have other problems. Clearly.
Yeah.
You should never be losing the division because of one player unless it's your quarterback. So
there you go.
I do agree with it to that point, but like I said, bro, we bought him to be a game changer. He's the guy that's supposed to turn those 1 or 2 point games in our favor. So if we lose a game or two because he wasn't there and we have to go on in the playoffs, that's on him, bro.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have to grow up. He's in a very privileged position right now. And people that are in the NFL don't understand sometimes, like him, he's a kid. Bro, you won the genetic lottery. You can run a 4.240. You need to realize where you're at in your life and get your head out of your ass and grow up.
Mm-hmm. No, listen, I'm with that, Terrell. If you're talking about mental maturity, then yes, I agree with you. That's something that Jamie hopefully will learn when he comes back. But I appreciate the call, Terrell, always bringing the heat. Enjoy your beach in Florida. Yep. All right? Enjoy it.
I will. Love you guys. Have a good one.
All right. See you later, Terrell. And you know what? Interesting. Terrell calls to defend you, Sam Flannel. So, and listen, again, I get where the concern is, but when you start talking about hypotheticals or what could happen, I deal with what I think will happen. I don't think that will happen. I don't think J-Mo not being there will, drastically move them in a different direction. I think the Lions, with J-Mo or without, are on still a good trajectory. And again, if Jameson cost them a handful of games for not being there, then when you have Jared Goff healthy, then I think we have some more issues to look at.
And Terrell, I really appreciate how he laid out the phone call, because he's basically saying exactly what I've been saying. If you're calling him a bust already and you're saying that the Lions should cut Jameson Williams, that's a very knee-jerk, irrational response.
Ridiculous.
It is 100% ridiculous. But if you're also acting like everything is just perfectly fine and it's all rainbows and butterflies, and when he comes back, he's just going to come right in and be Jamar Chase, that's also a lot of wishful thinking as well. you can't defend the fact that he is going to miss the first 6 games, and it could cost them. It's not outside of the realm of possibility that it does cost them a game, maybe a game where they score 17 and lose. It's going to look bad for Jamison Williams, and at some point, Lions fans need to demand that Jamison Williams is, 1, available, and 2, is the star that his 12th overall draft pick status and his talent dictates that he should be, because so far he hasn't shown it. And I'm so sick of hearing about those 2 times he touched the ball, he had over 40 yards. All 2 of them. He has 2 more touches than I do. He has 1 more touch than gambling suspensions. That's all. Those are all facts. I'm just saying. Demand excellence. Don't just go off
guy.
of it.
Spot on, though.
Yes.
Like Neil says, I'm battling analytics with you, Sam Flannel.
Yes, that's the thing. Demand excellence. Don't just live off of his talent and what he has done, which, by the way, is very, very little. Demand excellence. I don't want to see Jamison Williams continue to be let off the hook. Don't let him off the hook until he comes back and plays well consistently. Do I think he will? Absolutely. But it is not a guarantee like people are saying.
JB, before we go to break, I want to get to one more caller, and then we're going to get into JB's scenario next segment about the Lions, which I can't wait. But JB, who do we got on the line?
All right, I will send you guys Tom.
Tom, thanks for calling the show, my man. What do you want to discuss?
Just real briefly, I predict that the Lions are going to draft Devon Witherspoon at number 6, unless Will Anderson or Tyree Wilson are going to be available then, but which I doubt. And I think that Witherspoon is a Dan Campbell kind of guy. So I think that's the one when Dan Campbell talks about how he has a man crush on somebody. I think it's him.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is at pick 18, I think the Lions need to consider who's drafting directly behind them, and what is it that they all need? A quarterback. And I think there's going to be a mad scramble by Tampa Bay, Baltimore, and especially Minnesota, to jump ahead of the other teams. And I think that obviously not going to get much from Tampa Bay unless Tampa Bay knows that the Lions are talking to Minnesota. Then they'll jump up. I think that once, if they want to make a deal with Minnesota, and they've shown a history of doing that, they're going to have to ask for a little bit more than the normal because it's within the division. The other possibility, in my opinion, are the Giants, because they're somebody that they want. Now, when it gets to the Giants, who I think are like at 25 or 26, that's when I would start demanding a first-round draft pick in 2024.
Right. And I think
that's just my...
No, Tom.
Go ahead.
No, Tom, I agree with you. I think that's why Brad, it's been reported that he's been making calls to teams behind him at 18 because, again, you're seeing what, especially, like you said, teams need. I mean, you have Tampa Bay, you have Baltimore, you have some teams that are looking to draft a quarterback in 18, depending on who falls. I mean, if a player falls, Tom, that's where the value of that pick goes up incredibly high. So knowing who Brad is, knowing he likes to make deals, I think that's an option on the table. But I appreciate you calling and laying out that scenario for us.
Thank you.
All right, have a good one. All right, I'll tell you what, we're going to break. But before we go to break, Gabby, can you tell everybody where to get the best tan at? If, like, you're Sam Flannel and, you're not Italian like me and you need a tan.
I mean, you're still looking a little pale. I think you could hit up Chili Pepper still. Pick on Jeff Day for me. But let me tell you, Chili Pepper Standing has 27 locations and more coming in the Detroit area. Warren, Madison Heights, Troy, Berkeley, Clarkston, Royal Oak. I mean, there's 2 locations within 3 miles of our studio right here in Birmingham. Check out chilipepperstanning.com to check out all their deals, hottest bulbs, darkest tans, your vitamin D headquarters.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically enter for your chance to win not 1, but 2 vehicles of your choice, courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. That's right, 2 cars, 1 for you, 1 for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime, sign in, sit down, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Let one of our talented, award-winning stylists make you look handsome and clean. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing. At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. You know, because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Let me tell you about our friends over at Big Boy, because Strawberry Fest is back. You can try classic breakfast items like some strawberry hotcakes or mouth-watering red velvet waffles. If you're not feeling breakfast, you could try the strawberry bacon chicken wrap or cool off with their refreshing summer splash salad. Don't forget to grab dessert as well, including their berry delicious classic strawberry pie, deep-fried vanilla Oreos, or strawberry hot fudge cake, and more at Big Boy. We're back, coming into the second hour, Morning Woodward Show, woodwardsports.com. If you're watching on the website, don't forget to check out tons of articles from our talented writers, merchandise, live scores. They have it all on the woodwardsports.com. And if you're listening, which you missed it live, it's okay. If you're listening on either Spotify or Apple, don't forget to leave a 5-star review for the Morning Woodward Show. But Sam Flannel, JB cooked up something yesterday. And when JB's cooking, everybody listens. Because we know it could be something important. And JB, I don't want to give it away, but you laid out a scenario, which I want people in the chat to chime in as well. And what was that scenario? Get into it a little bit.
Yes, so yesterday on the heavyweights, we had Russell Brown on. Shouts out to Russell Brown. And in case if you missed that as well, go back, check it out. Heavyweights, Russell Brown knows his stuff. Let me tell you that right now.
He does.
He does. And he kind of laid out a scenario to me that kind of had me questioning that some of these top guys might not be there when the Lions are picking. So the scenario is there a scenario where Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Devon Witherspoon are all selected before the Lions pick? And also, follow up, who would you select if that does happen?
So you said Jalen Carter, Will Anderson. Who else? I'm going to just lay this out.
So Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Devon Witherspoon are all gone. Where do you go from there?
Whew.
So,
I don't think this will happen.
If we're going,
but
okay,
still.
I laid this out. So Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Witherspoon are all gone. Where do you go? Now, to me, this question, as much as I'm not in love with this player, I think you have to go Tyree Wilson at that point, because that would mean Tyree's in your hands at 6. And if you're saying you can't trade out, you're staying put, Sam Flannel, I mean, I would probably go Tyree Wilson. He could play inside, outside. He's the best prospect left. I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
He would definitely be the best prospect left, which to me is why I wouldn't think that would be the most nightmarish scenario for the Detroit Lions. I think in terms of players that I would want the Lions to select, he would be 5th in terms of the ones that I would want the most after Will Anderson,
Yes.
Jalen Carter, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young. He would be the next one. I would rather take him than Devon Witherspoon. So I think it would be a much more tragic is a strong word, but a much more unadvantageous position for the Detroit Lions if it's Tyree Wilson is gone instead of Devon Witherspoon.
And just to lay this scenario out, this technically, I mean, I could see this happening, although I don't think it will. But if we're just going off the prospects that Russell laid, that would mean potentially number 1, Panthers, they'd take Bryce. 2, you could say Houston. Let's say Houston takes Will Anderson. 3 would be Arizona. If they stay put, I mean, I guess in this scenario, they'd take Devon Witherspoon. And then 4, the Colts would take C.J. Stroud. And 5 would be Jalen Carter to the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, that's just the most realistic way this would happen. And if it does, I'm going to be honest, I'm more open to taking, I guess, players we haven't talked about as much, as in a potential. Tyree Wilson would be my number 1 option. But even you get down, I mean, you could make a case for Miles Murphy. I think I can make a case for Bijan Robinson. I know as much as people want to say, Bijan Robinson, let me remind you, Bijan Robinson, I can make an argument. He's the best offensive player, Sam, besides the quarterbacks.
Well, if this were another era of NFL football, say the 60s or 70s, I think a Bijan Robinson type player would have been the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. With Bijan Robinson, the question is, Obviously, drafting a running back at 6, it's very, very high. But I also think that he is the best running back prospect since Saquon Barkley. And if you can get at the very least, which is definitely possible for incoming rookie running backs, 5 years on the cheap as one of the best running backs in the NFL, and maybe at some point the best running back in the NFL, then it doesn't matter where you draft him. 6, 3, 1 even. That would be a little bit of reach, but you catch my drift. If Bijan Robinson is who we think he can be, and maybe even better than that, imagine how high this Lions offense can go, and he'd be running behind that offensive line. Your point is that it's not outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
There's some dream scenarios like I laid out: Will Anderson, Jalen Carter, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. We all know Bryce Young isn't going to happen. The other 3 may be unlikely as well. But afterwards, you have to take who is available. Obviously, there might be an option. Maybe if the Titans are in love with Will Levis or Anthony Richardson, trade back. There's always that possibility.
Right.
But if you're saying who to pick, Tyree Wilson would be mine, but I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't be pounding the table in anger if that number 6 overall pick was Bijan Robinson. I'd be surprised.
And let me lay it out, because Adam, and I got to speak for Adam because he's not here. Adam would hate this idea. He said Bijan Robinson at 6, no go. But I'd love to hear Adam in this scenario, because if these 5 players are gone, you still have 18, Sam and JB. You still have 18. So think about the scenario. You take, let's say hypothetically, you take Bijan at 6. You have 18 still. It could be a Kalijah Kancey. You could trade up and get a Miles Murphy. You could get one of the Lucas Van Ness. Like, you still could end up with one of the top edge rushers at 18. Like, let's not, just because you don't feel like you have to take Tyree Wilson because you have to take Tyree Wilson. I would, but Bijan Robinson, and I love these comments because the Morning Woodward Show, you guys always come correct. LL says, and I love this comment, think of Bijan Robinson as a Deebo Samuel type of player, not just a running back. And then Mark Walston says Bijan can be used like the 49ers use Deebo. And that's the point I'm making, is Bijan isn't just a running back. He is an offensive weapon. Offensive weapon, period. Like, I think that's what people, I don't want to draft a running back in the first round. He's not just a running back. He's a 6-foot, I guess, wide receiver running back combo. And it's not, listen, DeAndre Swift, uber talented, but take DeAndre Swift, add 4 inches, put 40 pounds on him, and make him more elusive. There's Bijan Robinson for you.
I mean, Bijan Robinson is the dictionary definition of sort of that build-a-back, an absolute physical freak. Got the size, got the speed, got the between the tackles ability, the breakaway speed. And my favorite stat about Bijan Robinson last season was he averaged 16.5 yards per catch.
Oh my
And I know
gosh.
a lot of that was yak yards, but still, Bijan Robinson is a guy that you could put in the slot. If you're drafting a running back that high, he has to be that all-around type of player.
Has to.
Is he as good of a pass catcher as Deebo Samuel? Absolutely not. He's more of a running back than Deebo Samuel is, but Bijan Robinson, I truly think that he could step into the league in year 1 and be a top 3 to 5 back in the league.
And what couldn't I argue too, Sam? No JMO the first 6 weeks. There's
Sure.
your weapon.
There's your Ferrari.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes,
There's your Ferrari.
There's your probably most talented offensive player stepping in on day 1, because we love Amon-Ra St. Brown, obviously, but he's not as physically gifted as a Jamison Williams or even a Bijan Robinson. We love what David Montgomery could bring. He's not as talented of a player as Bijan Robinson is. Bijan Robinson is also in a relative unknown, because anything can happen with these high draft picks. But Bijan Robinson, to me, especially behind this offensive line, and for the record, I'm not pounding the table saying the line should take him at 6, but Bijan Robinson behind this offensive line, you could look at him possibly, and I know this is a little bit of a reach, but stay with me, folks.
Okay.
There was a certain running back in 2016 who was a high draft pick who came in behind a very, very good offensive line, and his name was Ezekiel Elliott. I'm not saying Bijan Robinson is going to come in and be Zeke Elliott, because they already have David Montgomery, and Zeke Elliott had one of the best rookie running back seasons ever.
His first 3 years.
His first 3 years, he led the league in rushing yards per game every single year of his first 3 years. But the point is that Bijan Robinson has that ability. The situation is right for him to come in and have that sort of instant impact type of season. Maybe come in next year and be their best pass catcher out of the backfield. Maybe rush for 800 to 1,000 yards, split time with David Montgomery, create one of the most lethal duos in all the NFL. Or hell, maybe he separates himself and eventually becomes that every down sort of back.
Stephen Baffy says, WoodwardSports.com, Bijan is like if you have a running back like Henry, but with the versatility and wide receiver talent of an ex-wide receiver.
Ooh. don't know about Henry. But.
Yeah, but I love Stevens. I get what he's trying to say. Basically, in your point about Zeke, I would even argue Bijan's a much better receiver than Zeke. So you get
100%.
Zeke, but Zeke in the pass game as well. You get the option to use him. And the reason why I've been on Beydoun for so long now is because, number one, I don't believe Swift will be healthy, and if he walks at the end of this year, you get a compensatory third-round pick. So you're getting a pick either way. I would rather draft for the future anyway. David, to me, is a running back. David Montgomery, I'm talking about. A running back that you'd probably want him to share a backfield with. I don't think you're going to run into the season with David Montgomery, and let's say Swift gets hurt down the stretch. You're just going to have David out there. Like, you're in today's NFL, you want a 1-2 punch. Imagine a 1-2 punch with Beydoun and David with the option of using Beydoun in the pass game. It's exciting. Behind this offensive line, he's on a rookie deal. I know 6 people would... I'm not saying to draft him at 6, but we're talking about this specific scenario.
Situation.
In this specific situation, I can make an argument.
So he's at 6, and then who are you taking at 18?
18, I would probably look at either Kalijah Cansey or one of the edge rushers. Because if you tell me a first... And by the way, the people who are saying, I don't want Beydoun, I'll take Jahmyr Gibbs. By the way, Jahmyr Gibbs is probably going to be a first-round pick. So
yeah, at this point, he's ascending up the board.
It's easy to say that. It's easy to say, well, I don't want Beydoun, I'll take Jahmyr Gibbs. Okay, how you getting him? You got to explain to me how you're getting him, because you can't get him at... Are you going to draft him at 18? Because he'll be gone late in the first round. So you're really looking at some of these other running backs, like an Achane, all these guys that are going to fall a little bit. A Charbonnet, for example, out of UCLA. But to me, there's 2 running backs in this draft, Sam, and there's a little bit of a drop-off. So if you can get arguably the best running back, not even in this draft, but over the last couple of years. Brad talked about it at his press conference. No one questioned Todd Gurley. They drafted him at, I believe it was 9th overall. Or 9th overall.
Something like that, yeah.
Regardless. No one questioned him when they were winning playoff games, when Todd Gurley was almost in that MVP candidate before he got injured. Like, no one questioned it. People only questioned it years later when he retired. But at the time when they were in the postseason making a Super Bowl run, no one questioned that 9th overall pick.
But Todd Gurley, to your point, he still gave the Rams, 4 years of being one of the best running backs in the NFL on the cheap? And you mentioned 18. I think you could maybe even warm Adham up to the idea of taking Bijan Robinson at 6 if they take his Lord and Savior Kalijah Cansey at 18. And I'm not mocking Adham, by the way. I like Kalijah Cansey too at 18. I think if he falls to 18, it would be somewhat of a steal for the Detroit Lions because he is a need. He was highly productive at Pitt. He had 14 sacks in his last 2 years and was great against the run. I would be okay with that. I think Bijan Robinson and Kalijah Cansey, I think that would have the potential to be a hell of a first round. Do I think the Lions are going to take Bijan at 6? Probably not, but JB's scenario, a lot of the players that I would want the most are off the board. And at some point you have to make decisions of, if we can't take him, who else are we going to get? And Bijan Robinson, he may end up being the best offensive player from this draft period. I'm talking about quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends, even offensive linemen. He might end up being better than all of them.
And I put a poll up in the chat, Bijan Robinson and Cansey/Murphy, whoever you prefer in the first round. You like it, you hate it. In this scenario, and I'm talking, and just to recap, Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, and Devon Witherspoon are gone at 6. So those are really, so it's either Tyree Wilson, Miles Murphy. If you want to take Christian Gonzalez, but I'm not taking a corner at 6. Do you like this first round? Bijan Robinson and Kalijah Cansey or Miles Murphy, 68%, now 70%. It's going up. Say yes, they do.
Well, I think you've also noticed this, and I think we've all noticed this, that at the very, in the past months when it comes to this draft, the whole Bijan at number 6 or even even in the first round was a little bit of a taboo subject. But I think that people are warming up to the idea. And at this point, you have to prepare yourself for all kinds of possibilities. Because as much as we say that they could get a running back in the other rounds, they could get maybe Zach Charbonnet, as you said, in the second round, or maybe even a Chase Brown, who I like in the later rounds. There's Bijan Robinson, and then there's maybe like Jahmyr Gibbs, Zach Charbonnet, and then there's everybody else. Bijan Robinson is the best running back in this draft, I'd say, by a fairly significant margin, and the best running back prospect since Saquon Barkley. And say what you want about Saquon Barkley, but at least when it comes to his rookie deal, for the most part, he has delivered. He has had 3,000-yard seasons, and he has, when healthy, been one of the best running backs in the NFL behind an offensive line which has never been as good as the Lions' offensive line is right now.
No, it has not. And that's the argument, too. And I guess the one pushback I'd have is if you're drafting them at 6, what you'd financially have to give up for. Like, that's the one, I guess, pushback I have, even on myself. Like, I'm a big Beydoun guy, but still, if you draft him at 6, with that comes 6th overall salary. So you're paying a running back. I get that. That's why 18, I'm very wide open.
Oh, if it's 18, yeah.
But something tells me, Sam, and I don't know if you view it the same way as me, he's gone by 18. There's no way in hell.
I mean, people are waking up to the idea of how great and how impactful that Bijan Robinson can be to a team's offense and how complete of a back he is. As we said, an offensive weapon. I would much prefer for the Lions to wait until 18 and consider a Bijan Robinson. But at this point, it's not going to happen. And if he is the best available for the Lions to pick at 6, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I think most people could at the very least warm up to the idea and get excited.
That's all. Warm up. Sit around the campfire. Sit around the campfire. We'll have some marshmallows. We'll talk about it. And I can convince you why Bijan might be the best choice. If all these 5 players are gone, speaking of best choice, let me tell you about our friends over at Swiss Insurance, because they're no doubt the best choice for you. You can check with them this week for your commercial insurance review. They can help make sure you have the proper coverage. Swiss Insurance, give them a shot and you won't be disappointed. Mark at SwissINS.com.
You've heard of Gordon Ramsay. You've heard of Bobby Flay. But Thursday Night Master Chef Brad Holmes will be in the kitchen with all of the ingredients needed to make a great dish on draft night. Join Woodward Sports for our 3rd annual Woodward Sports Draft Party, live at 5th Avenue in Royal Oak. The past 2 years, these parties have been standing room only, so get your tickets early at eventbrite.com. Don't miss out on all the fun with Braylon Edwards, Ryan Ermanni, Neil Rule, Darren McCarty, and the entire Woodward Sports crew. The party starts at 7:30 p.m. Don't miss the biggest draft party in the Motor City, brought to you by the biggest network, Woodward Sports.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Good morning. We are back on the Morning Woodward show with Jeff and Flannel Sam today. But if you are missing any of the live shows, please be sure to check out our podcast, where you can download on any platform that you listen to it at and leave a 5-star review. But I have to mention that we're going to be at 5th Ave this Thursday. Doors are going to be open at 5. Upstairs will be open at 6. And we'll be live at 7:30. I have dropped the link to tickets in the chat, only $10. And I'm ready to see the emotional roller coaster that Maz is going to go on, that he does every year. I'm ready to see it up close.
Yeah, next time you go out, you go to Little Caesars to get 2 hot and readies, just don't get those. Just save the $10 and put them towards Woodward Sports Draft Party and come hang out. Like, it sounds like a pretty good business move to me, Sam.
Oh, yeah. And the funny thing is, Gabby, I don't know if you know this because you weren't with us at the time. That hug and that embrace between Maz and Ryan Ermanni, that was in celebration that the Lions moved up to 12 and that we could get Malik Willis.
Oh,
that happened. I was right there when that happened.
And by the way, I love Ryan Ermanni. I do. I love him so much. And I watch their show live because I handle things for them for their show. So I have I tune into the Big D, I tune into Ermanni, I watch even the Woodward Heavyweights. And hearing Ryan Ermanni yesterday bring up that Malik Willis and Jameson Williams have done the exact same thing in both of their careers, he's not wrong, but come on. We can all admit at least, and I think you would even admit, Sam Flannel, even you, that Jameson, his ceiling compared to Malik Willis it's night and day.
Well, Malik Willis, even the most staunch defenders like Maz and Ryan Ermanni, and for the record, I'm not even going to kill them for too much longer. But even the most staunch defenders, and I heard it from Ryan Ermanni himself, is just like, Malik Willis sucks. He's shown us absolutely nothing. I mean, even as somebody who hasn't gotten a ton of opportunities, Josh Dobbs looked exponentially better than Malik Willis did when Josh Dobbs was given the opportunity. And that is not somebody that you want to be worse than.
Yeah.
Malik Willis is done.
That Malik conversation last year, me and Adam had we were taking Tylenol with the amount of headaches we had. I mean, to have to cover that. It was... Whew, glad we're past that, but I'm excited this Thursday Beydoun there. I do want to get into our top 5 quarterback rankings, and Sam, I want to read mine off. Alex, do you have the graphic with my top 5 quarterbacks on it? Okay, I'm going to put this up, and you guys can either disagree or agree. I'm going to put a poll up in the chat if I'm onto something or not. Jeff, you're crazy. Let's talk about it. Sam, JB, I want your guys' thoughts on it too. Alex, throw it up for me. Top 5 quarterbacks. This is Adam's 2 and mine. So, pre-draft, we're doing all our rankings this week to kind of just shore up where we stand on a lot of these prospects. So, let me get this. Okay, so Adam's list and my list, wow. He has Tanner McKee making an entrance. Wow. Tanner McKee. What do you think about these two lists initially before I get into mine?
Sure. So, I guess I will start with Adams at this point. Bryce Young and CJ Stroud 1-2, I agree with 100%. Anthony Richardson, to me, is somebody that I wouldn't touch with a 50-foot pole. I'm not in terms of drafting him. Anthony Richardson, I'm not drafting somebody who was horribly inaccurate in college, had 4 games in which he completed less than 50% of his passes, had a 53.8% completion percentage in his 1 year as a starter. I need somebody who was actually productive in college. But man, did you see that pro day? Did you see that combine where he looked like the Hulk? Yeah, but he can't throw. I would put Hendon Hooker above him. I like Hendon Hooker. I think he is the 3rd best prospect in this draft, quite simply because not only does he have the size and the arm and the accuracy, but he was highly productive in college. 58 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in his last 2 seasons at Tennessee, including the game of his life, throwing for 5 against an Alabama defense that had Will Anderson and Brian Branch. Pretty damn impressive. Tanner McKee is another one. Tanner McKee is one that he didn't do anything in college. I get that Stanford, he didn't have the best supporting cast, but what did he throw? 13 touchdown passes last year? It's all about yeah. Alleged talent and arm strength and what you see sort of size. Oh, he's 6'5". But Tanner McKee did nothing in college. He was not productive at all. And when you look at all of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, every single one of them, except for Josh Allen, he is the exception, were highly productive in college. I mean, Joe Burrow had the best season ever and 63 touchdown passes while winning a Heisman Trophy. Patrick Mahomes, everybody talks about him as somebody who wasn't that great in college, which is asinine because he threw 36 touchdown passes his junior year and 41 his senior year. He was just stuck playing with Cliff Kingsbury horrible defense in which they would lose games 58-55. Trevor Lawrence was one of the best college quarterbacks ever at Clemson. Lamar Jackson was a Heisman Trophy winner. I need you to be productive in college. That, to me, is a prerequisite. Yes. It's not everything. Just because you're productive in college doesn't mean you're going to be great in the NFL. I just need all of the tangibles and the production.
And I want to go through, could you throw up my list real quick, Alex, our list, excuse me, and I want to kind of go through why I put each player where. So Bryce Young, to me, I mean, there's not really much to say there. Even despite being 5'11", $195, if he was 6'2", there wouldn't even be even more of a debate.
He would be talked about as like a Trevor Lawrence type prospect.
Oh, absolutely. In terms of his IQ, football character, production, win-loss, what he did at Alabama, yeah, he's the number 1 quarterback to me. Number 2, CJ Stroud, for a couple different reasons, has the most NFL throws in college. Talk about his arm talent. Yes, a little stagnant in the pocket, but I think at Georgia, when he played Georgia, displayed a lot of things that scouts were looking for. So I think CJ, the game against Georgia, kind of significantly rose his stock a lot. But regardless, he was the 2nd best quarterback to me. Now we get to Will Levis. And I'll explain why I have Will Levis here, because if I have to be honest with you guys, besides Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, I really don't care about any of these quarterbacks. Hendon Hooker, I guess I could say I do, because if you can get him in the 2nd or 3rd round, I'm absolutely on board. Although I think he's rising up draft boards, and he might even be a late 1st round pick. The reason why I have Will Levis here, it's a mix between potential and what I've seen, because all I have to see between Will Levis and Anthony Richardson, I mean, they both weren't in ideal situations. They didn't play extremely well. Will Levis, I guess statistically, played better than Anthony Richardson. But Will Levis, to me, Checks a lot of boxes. I'm not a huge fan of him. I think he'll go to the Colts, to be honest with you. I think that's where I have him mocked. But he is the third best quarterback to me because Anthony Richardson doesn't even have production. It's all off potential. At least Will Levis has some production at Kentucky in the SEC. So that's why I gave him the nod. Anthony Richardson, I have nothing to go off of besides a couple of highlights, a backflip, and him crushing the combine athletically. That's all I have. I don't have much there. I think he had a 2 QBR against Will Levis when they played, Kentucky versus Florida. So that's why I have him fourth. And fifth, Hendon Hooker. And listen, for people saying, why do you have Hendon Hooker, last on your list? And I'll explain why. So Hendon Hooker, to me, great arm, right? We saw it with Jalen Hyatt, can throw the ball. I mean, that's clear. And you saw that last year. But the problem I have with Hendon Hooker is a couple things. Number one is age. He's 25, so he's going to be 25 as a rookie. All these guys ahead of him are years younger. And on top of that, he's coming off a torn ACL, and he kind of has a gimmicky that Tennessee offense is gimmicky. Like, just, streaks, throwing bombs. It's not something that when you get into the NFL that's going to translate necessarily. You're going to have to be able to complete passes at all three levels. Hendon didn't really display that all that often. He threw like a 70% completion percentage, but again, I need to see more out of Hooker. That Tennessee offense is, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say Hendon Hooker just because of the stats is the third best quarterback. There's a lot more context that involves it. But he did run through the SEC. If he didn't get injured, he would have been a Heisman, maybe even a Heisman winner.
Probably.
So there's a lot of things there that go into it. But for me, I'm a little skeptical on Hendon Hooker. If you're talking about being a top 10, top 15 pick, I think he'll be picked. Maybe late first. I would probably put him second or early third, but it is what it is. That's why I have Hendon Hooker, the age and the ACL injury, that has to come into play. 25 years old coming off an ACL injury. I factor that into my rankings. But Tanner McKee, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't agree with Tanner McKee over Will Levis. I think, you could bring up Will Levis played in the SEC. He didn't have that much help at all compared to last year when he actually played well. Again, not a big fan of Will Levis, but I'm trying to give you guys where I rank these guys and why. So, again, to recap, put up the list one more time, Alex. I got Bryce Young 1, CJ Stroud 2, Will Levis 3, Anthony Richardson 4, Hendon Hooker 5. I think 3, 4, and 5 are pretty close, if I'm being real with you. I think 1 and 2, there's a drop-off, but Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, Hendon Hooker, however you want to rank them, I really don't care.
This is consistent with what you said yesterday.
Yeah.
You guys both comparing, what did we do yesterday, cornerbacks?
Yep.
That your 1 and 2 should be the same, or at least, flip-flopped.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to see that you guys have once again had them in similar positions.
Yeah, 1 and 2, I don't think. The only reason you'd put CJ Stroud, Sam, I guess would be size.
Yeah.
That's it.
I would agree that Bryce Young is the clear number 1 and CJ Stroud is the clear number 2. You mentioned something that I thought was very, very interesting, and I think it was very prophetic in a lot of ways, but I don't necessarily agree with your 100% conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 quarterbacks in this draft that I think are clearly above. And I would say Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are in one tier. Then there's Hendon Hooker. Then there's everybody else for me. I don't have any use for Will Levis or Anthony Richardson. And I certainly don't have any use for guys like Tanner McKee and Jake Haener and Aiden O'Connell, Stetson Bennett, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Clayton Tune, guys like that. I think they're all just basically a bunch of nothing burgers, I will say, when it comes to what they're going to produce in the NFL, although I like some of them more than others. Will Levis, to me, he's another one that I am just not a fan of. And I saw that Adam didn't even have him on his list at all. And the only thing that I have to say about Will Levis is he's another one that just did not get it done in college basically at all. His junior season was much better than his last season.
You saw something.
You saw something, but you know what I also saw? I'm glad you mentioned about seeing things. You know what I also saw? I also saw him throw for 98 yards and 3 interceptions at Tennessee in a 44-6 loss against that same Tennessee defense that yielded 63 points to, drumroll please, Spencer Rattler.
Oh.
That happened.
Oof.
And also, we cannot let this go. Against Vanderbilt at home, Will Levis gave you 109 yards, 1 interception on less than 50% completion percentage at home against Vanderbilt, yielding Vanderbilt's first SEC win since 2019.
Oh,
I can't I can't
Yeah.
with Will Levis. Obviously, he showed something in his junior year, but all this Will Levis talk, he's another one. He's more of a media creation to me than a sort of a hype machine.
Yeah.
He's got the arm, he's got the mobility, but I didn't see it. To me, him and Anthony Richardson are kind of one and the same. Although I would put Will Levis a little bit higher than Anthony Richardson, they're basically, scouts are trying to recreate the next Josh Allen. Because Josh Allen, to be fair, he wasn't productive at Wyoming. Obviously, he didn't have the best supporting cast, but he had some horrific games and seasons in which he completed less than 60% of his passes, which to me is usually a big red flag. He worked out, but he's the exception.
Yes.
He is not the rule.
Exceptions don't always apply to the rule.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, we're going to break. When we get back, I want JB's thoughts on the list, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on who do you think out of these 5 players, these 5 quarterbacks, could be the Zach Wilson of this draft.
Jeff, before we go to break, I have to just stretch out my arm a little bit because every single time that I see that disgusting blue and orange on the screen, I just can't help it. I can't help it. Okay, we can go to break.
I'll tell you what, we're going to break when we get back. We'll get into more of this quarterback talk. Thanks for sticking with us. Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Get a shot up. This is for the win. All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
Fitness is home of the judgment-free zone where you can work in a non-intimidating, judgment-free atmosphere. The gym that has always been known for being clean is now cleaner than ever, has tons of equipment, a full-body workout, the 30-minute circuit, and all memberships include fitness training, and you can get this all for only $10 a month. Your fitness is essential, and fitness is a key part of your physical and mental wellness. Join today in club or online at planetfitness.com. It's Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
I need you to, close out that read just like Darren does.
I should, just kind of you know.
Yeah,
let's do essential.
Doing my, yeah, there we go. Next time, I got you.
We're back here at Morning Woodward Show, woodwardsports.com. Thanks for sticking with us. We're coming down halfway through the second hour. If you're listening on woodwardsports.com, don't forget to check out the articles we have from all of our talented writers, merchandise, and so much more. Live scores on top of that. And if you can't catch the show live, it's okay. You can go back and listen on Apple, Spotify, and leave a 5-star review while you're at it. I want to continue the conversation because we talked about the top 5 quarterbacks, where me and Adam have them ranked, and I'll go through my list one more time. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, and Hendon Hooker. And I want to go to JB on this. JB, you can throw out my list, Alex. You agree with my list? You like Adam's list better? Your thoughts on it?
I like your list a little bit better, although I would switch.
What would you
Hendon
move?
Hooker and Anthony Richardson.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely switch those two. It's just that, as you said, Hooker was basically running the SEC before he got injured. So just imagine what would have happened if he didn't get injured. As you all said, Heisman Trophy candidate right there for you. Will Levis, I'm not in love with the guy, but at 3, he's fine. He'll do it. Although he does do a lot of antics on social media, which makes him a social media darling right now, which I'm sure GMs and teams would just love to have on their side, especially the Colts right there. But I don't hate the guy. He has a big arm and he is durable, although he's taken a lot of sacks in his time in college.
Yeah.
So Yeah, that's something he has to work on. Definitely moving out of the pocket for
Yeah,
sure.
that's a big one. And I want to ask you, Sam, out of the 5 that we have listed, of the 5 quarterbacks, which one of these guys could be this year's Zach Wilson?
I would go with, like, actually...
You got to give me one.
One.
Because I know there might be 2 you don't like, but give me one. The most likely to be Zach Wilson.
Well, I got to go with Anthony Richardson on this one because I think Anthony Richardson could still end up going in the top 6, 5, maybe 10. And the funny thing, too, is Zach Wilson, we give him a lot of slander, but he was actually very, very good at BYU. Anthony Richardson he's never been a good thrower of the football at any point in his college career. And with him, imagine if he, say, goes to a situation that isn't advantageous, where he's expected to be a starter right away. He is not an NFL-ready quarterback. I think he would instantly get exposed. I don't think he's ever going to be what his defenders think that he can be. But his defenders, all they have to go off of is potential, for which he has immense potential. He's got that rocket arm. He's one of the most athletic players in this upcoming draft. But I could see Anthony Richardson, and you're going to laugh at this, he might be a guy that ends up working out better as like a wide receiver or tight end because he can't throw. He can't throw. 53.8% completion percentage his 1 year as a starter.
Well, he can throw, just not accurate.
At the ceiling, like he did in his...
He could throw bombs. He could throw bombs. But yes, consistently being accurate, you haven't really seen that on Anthony Richardson.
You haven't seen it.
He's a project, but typically projects I'm not a huge fan of, especially guys that are going to be drafted top 5. There's a difference between a project like Patrick Mahomes, who was erratic, who put up monster numbers at Texas Tech.
Thank you.
That's a project I'm willing to get behind. But if there's a project with not a lot of evidence, there's just a lot of athletic traits, a lot of what ifs, like that scares me a lot. And I think Anthony Richardson, to your point, probably has the biggest boomer bust potential. But Will Levis, I think you could throw in that category as well, because Will Levis could easily be that same guy. Will Levis could easily be this year's Zach Wilson because, like Zach Wilson, he was super overvalued. I mean, he rose all the way up to the number 2 overall pick to the Jets. And I mean, let's be honest, I'm not trying to hammer on it already, but at the time it didn't make sense to me.
I agree.
Like I didn't watch a lot of Zach Wilson at BYU, but I'm like, who the hell is Zach Wilson? Like, and then you see the pro day, you see the throws, and you're like, oh, here we go. This is where people fall in love with someone like Zach Wilson. I think Will Levis also has an opportunity to be like that. But to your point, I have the least amount of evidence with Anthony Richardson.
Yeah,
I have the least.
And you don't have a ton of evidence with Will Levis either, although he did start for 2 years, and he did throw, I believe, 27 touchdown passes in his junior year. But yeah, no, Will Levis is another one. I don't think either of them will pan out, Will Levis or Anthony Richardson, particularly if they go to a situation, like I said, that isn't advantageous. Imagine one of them going to the Houston Texans.
And I
don't think that's going to happen.
I'm glad you brought that up because I think situation matters a ton. Like, I don't think people understand that because it's not about just being drafted. It's where you're drafted. Like the Lions, for example, and this is why I harp on the idea of potentially drafting a quarterback if C.J. Stroud's there, is because there's not too many situations you could look at that are perfect for a rookie quarterback than the Lions have right now. So to your point, yes, situation matters. And I think Zach Wilson, even with the Jets, is a pretty good situation. He just had, he just sucks.
Yeah,
like,
if
you stink, you stink. There's not much that can be done to help you.
Well, and at least for you and for me, I will go on the record too as saying that Zach Wilson at 2 was somebody that kind of confused me a little bit as well. As I mentioned, he was good at BYU, but it never made sense to me going number 2 overall. I was always in the camp that season that Justin Fields was the clear second best quarterback in that draft after Trevor Lawrence, of course, and I think that might end up playing itself out. And Zach Wilson, for all of us people who never believed in him in the first place, we're getting a lot of sweet, sweet vindication because Zach Wilson is terrible. Mm-hmm. Just imagine how advantageous, like I said earlier in the show, the Jets' position could be in if Zach Wilson was even somewhat competent on a rookie deal with all of those phenomenal rookies from the past season, including the offensive and defensive rookie of the year. If he were even passable, if he were even not a turnover machine and somewhat accurate, the Jets would not have to trade for Aaron Rodgers. They'd be hoping to groom him more, but they already know Zach Wilson stinks. He's awful.
Do you see a potential scenario where C.J. Stroud ends up the Zach Wilson?
I don't.
Even the Ohio State narrative And I'll tell you where I come from this, but just trying to address some rumors, because I feel like that's a common thing, whether it was Justin Fields last year, C.J. Stroud this year. There's always going to be this Ohio State narrative. How true do you believe that is with C.J. Stroud, or is he different?
Well, it goes back to with Dwayne Haskins, who unfortunately before he passed away, he didn't really pan out in the NFL
put up
as well.
monster numbers.
He put up monster numbers, but before that, you had guys like J.T. Barrett and Cardale Jones and Troy Smith and guys like that who weren't really ever highly rated NFL prospects. If you want to include Braxton Miller in that too, he ended up being in the NFL as like a wide receiver, H-back type player. I don't think that, to me, C.J. Stroud is clearly the second best quarterback in the draft. I would take him if he were available at number 6 to the Lions, just because of how he could develop and potentially be a lot cheaper than Jared Goff when Jared Goff wants his extension.
Right.
Jared Goff, C.J. Stroud showed me just too much in college. I know as a Michigan fan, the narrative likes to be put out that he was just awful both times against Michigan. He was not good in the game at Columbus this past year, but in the game at the Big House, which I was at, and I was super happy Michigan won, he still put up almost 400 yards and 2 touchdown passes. He was being harassed mercilessly by Aiden Hutchinson, who sacked him 3 times. Ojabo got him once. Aiden Hutchinson had 15 quarterback pressures on that game, so I'm not putting that on C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud had 88 touchdown passes and 12 interceptions in his 2 years as a starter at Ohio State. He was absolutely lethal. And if you want to maybe put to bed any questions about, say, he doesn't play his best in the big games. First of all, that Rose Bowl in his first year, in which he helped Jackson Smith and Njigba set that record, elite. And he led the team. He threw 4 touchdown passes against Georgia in that college football playoff game, led the game-winning drive.
Should have won.
But because Stetson Bennett has the power to make other teams choke, Noah Ruggles ended up shanking that field goal, and Ohio State didn't win. So to me, C.J. Stroud has shown me too much in college. He has the best arm out of any quarterback in the draft. He has the best sort of size-arm combination. He has sneaky mobility. C.J. Stroud is not going to be the Zach Wilson. I think he will pan out.
And I love this comment, too, from Benji. Tell me one legit quarterback from Texas Tech before Mahomes, LSU before Burrow. We can do this with multiple schools. Benji's kind of speaking facts.
That's the thing. I don't take any stock into the Ohio State thing at all. And Justin Fields, he might not be a bust. I think he's actually going to be very, very good. They obviously surround him with more weapons.
Yeah, situation matters.
Yes, situation does matter.
Where he goes. Absolutely. I'll tell you what, we'll go to break when we get back. I want to get to around the NFL with the Titans reportedly trading Henry, but now they're not trading Henry. Lot to get to. Trey Lance potentially on the move. John Lynch said they're taking calls. They're not actively trying to trade him, but you could see some guys on the move. We'll get into it next break, but before, we're going to go to break right now. Could you tell us about our friends at the Lobster Truck? Because I am getting kind of hungry after the show. Where do I go? Where do I find the truck at?
Well, you go to Cousins Maine Lobster, of course. Cousins Maine Lobster brings the best of the Maine coast to Detroit. Try the variety of sweet, succulent Maine Lobster menu items at their 2 food trucks rolling around the city. You can find their event schedules at cousinsmainelobster.com and through their mobile app, where you can easily order ahead and earn rewards. It's Cousins Maine Lobster.
Big Boy Strawberry Fest has officially arrived, and we're here to show you the very best flavors of the season. Satisfy your sweet tooth with our deep-fried vanilla Oreos, strawberry hot fudge cake, and a slice of our classic strawberry pie. But that's not all. Cool off on a refreshing summer splash salad, or savor the flavors of our chicken Caesar wrap and strawberry bacon chicken wrap. And for breakfast lovers, don't miss out on our strawberry hotcakes or our mouth-watering red velvet waffle. Strawberry Fest is something for everyone. Celebrate the sweet season with us at Big Boy.
My name is Lee. I've lost 35 pounds on the Custom Health Center program. So the 3 biggest benefits that I've gotten from this program has been, I'm not snoring anymore, I have a lot of energy, it's great, and oh, by the way, look at this. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
Call us at 844-789-THIN or visit CustomHealthCenters.com for a free consultation and get started for as little as $5 a day.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
We are back on the Morning Woodward Show. Thank you for joining us. If you're watching on woodwardsports.com, be sure to check out all that we have going on leading up to the draft. And if you're looking to go somewhere for the draft this Thursday, you'll find us at 5th Ave. I am dropping the link right now in the chat to get your tickets. $10. We're starting at 7:30. The doors open at 5. You'll be able to come and socialize with the WSN crew starting at 6. We're really looking forward to seeing you guys there. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, don't forget Thursday, man. You got to be there. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited. It's the first time for us, at least for me, at 5th Ave. And I know the jokes are gonna come in about me and Royal Oak, because Booner, I saw you dropping jokes earlier. But I'm excited to meet a lot of people, man. It'll be exciting. Lions, 2 first-round picks. I know last year we knew we had 2 first-round picks, but first-round pick at 6. Another first round at 18. So not too far apart, if you ask me.
Oh, it's going to be the most electric draft for the Detroit Lions in years, because we're talking about supplementing 2 first-round players to a team that won 9 games and has playoff aspirations. This is unlike anything I've really ever experienced. I'm
with Ric Flair. I mean,
yes.
I'm with there you go. Ric Flair, I'm with you. I want to get into some of this NFL news that's been just rumored, obviously with the Derrick Henry rumors of him being traded. Because, again, I've always felt that Philly, the best landing spot for Beydoun is Philly until they get Derrick Henry. And then it changes everything. But reportedly, they're not trading Derrick Henry. So that's a scenario that we have to keep watching because, again, I don't believe that. I think Derrick Henry may be on the move. Tennessee, to me, they're kind of in this tweener stage between being a contender and going into a complete rebuild, because again, if I'm Tennessee, I'm trying to find my quarterback, and Derrick Henry is only getting older. His value is probably at near its peak right now, or at least a little lower because he's coming off some injuries. You might need to look into trading Derrick Henry.
Absolutely. I mean, both things can be true. To me, Derrick Henry is the best running back in franchise history. When we talk about the Titans and the Oilers, even better than Earl Campbell, even better than that fraud Eddie George. Derrick Henry is that guy, and he's arguably the best running back of this era with what he's been able to do. But at the same time, do you think the Titans are really does Derrick Henry put this team with this roster over the top to win even a division? Certainly not a playoff.
You talking about the Titans?
The Titans.
Right now? No.
The Eagles, though.
Yeah, the Eagles will be scary.
Behind that offensive line with like Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey, Landon Dickerson, and the boys.
It's not fair.
He might get 4 yards before he's even touched. And you know Derrick Henry, when it comes to power up the middle, nobody wants to tackle him. And if he gets a running start, Miles Sanders rushed for over 1,000 yards behind that offensive line. Imagine what Derrick Henry can do.
I can only imagine. You know what? Speaking of imagining what players can do, what about Trey Lance? Where are you at? Because for me personally, I'm not out on Trey Lance. I liked him coming out. I think the injuries and the immaturity, I think all those things tie into it. If I'm the 49ers and I'm John Lynch, we talk about situation matters. Brock Purdy going into that situation, even as the last pick in the draft, great situation. Now, it could have been different for Brock Purdy if he was in Houston. Like, these things matter for quarterbacks. They like Brock Purdy. He's injured. He's expected to come back later this year. If you're the 49ers, what are you doing with Trey Lance? Because that 3rd overall pick is still on the books. And whether you believe in him or not, what direction would you go in if you're John Lynch, Sam Flannel? I'm giving you the reign right now.
That is a tough one. Because
would you keep in Brock and keep it? Because listen, Brock's making, I think, about not even $1 million from where he was drafted. So to pay a guy that money to be your starting quarterback, it's a robbery. Highway robbery.
At this point, I probably would trade Trey Lance. And here's the thing. I'm not necessarily out on him as a player, but we don't know. What Brock Purdy did, and I'm not going to give him too much credit because obviously he had the Kyle Shanahan system, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Trent Williams, all that. He was very, very insulated. But what Brock Purdy did when he actually played, he played the best football a 49ers quarterback has played probably since like the heyday of Colin Kaepernick. He was better than Jimmy Garoppolo ever was. And he's cheap. He was obviously Mr. Irrelevant. He's coming off of an injury, which is a little bit of a question mark. It's just with Trey Lance, you don't know. Was the number 3 overall pick. He's obviously commands a higher salary. He's still got, I believe, 2 to 3 years left in his rookie deal. It might be worth trying to salvage something. I thought he actually played pretty well in his rookie year when he got a little bit of spot starts, but then his last year was completely ruined by injury, and the one game he did play, he didn't look very good. So if I'm the San Francisco 49ers, I am probably trading Trey Lance, although it's such a risk. It goes to show. Just imagine if the San Francisco 49ers, with that roster, and you had Justin Fields or even Mac Jones quarterbacking this team. they might have won the Super Bowl last year. Not kidding.
Yeah, you make it because again, you look at Kyle Shanahan and what he likes at quarterback. It's very Brock Purdy-esque, Mac Jones-esque. Like get the ball to the playmakers, and then you have Trey Lance, who's, similar. And I got to watch what I say here because he's not Patrick Mahomes, but the way he plays, like got a little bit of playground football. He's got a great arm. He's mobile. Maybe that's not exactly what Kyle Shanahan's looking for. We'll see what the future holds for Trey Lance. If you're the Lions, you even picking up that phone call to call John Lynch and see what he's asking for? Are you not interested at all?
I mean, I might pick up the phone call. It just depends on what they would offer. If the Lions can get a good deal for Trey Lance, I would consider it, but it's not really what I would call high priority. But he still has, 2 years left in his rookie deal plus the option?
It lines up with Jared Goff, his 2 years left. It's tough. I don't like taking on recycled products. I don't like I would rather draft my quarterback rather than take on Trey Lance, who, again, if Kyle Shanahan, the best coach, arguably one of the best coaches in the NFL, and John Lynch, a respected GM, they don't want him, it's a red flag to me.
That's a good point, because Kyle Shanahan, not only is he one of the best coaches, he's one of the most brilliant offensive minds.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
And again, Ben Johnson, say what you want about him, got a lot of confidence in him. I don't even know if Ben Johnson is looking at that situation like, oh, yeah, can't wait to get my hands on Trey Lance. I think he would much rather have right now Jared Goff. We're going to go to break because I want to get to Mailbag early. Get all your questions lined up for us. Me, Sam, JB, Gabby, we'll answer them all. Whoever you want to ask the question to, load them up. But before we go to break, I got to tell you about our friends over at SMA, the sports marketing agency, because, listen, you can check out their podcast. This is the S Word, which explains the stigma about surrounding mental health and other things. But if you need help, Sports Marketing Agency, they're here to help. 1-800, call them, SMA.com for more information, and they'll help you out.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on Shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Jeff Iafrate here. Let me tell you about our friends over at the Fulling Warehouse in Hamtramck, because it is the home of the original football bowling game. 2 to play for $12, the unlimited open play, or you can pay $120 for a lane reservation for up to 10 people. $2 miss your beer machine and full bar. You think you're better than Will Levis or Anthony Richardson? Come check it out, fullingwarehouse.com. We're approaching the end of the show. Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. It's mailbag time. If you're watching live on woodwardsports.com, guys, check out our articles. Thousands of articles by all our talented writers. And on top of that, we have our merchandise store, live scores. Check it all out. And if you didn't get a chance to catch our show live, it's okay. You can still leave a 5-star review on any podcast platform you listen to us on. Apple, Spotify, whatever your preference is. Give us a review, 5-star review for Sam Flannel, filling in today.
Oh,
thank you for filling in, Sam Flannel.
I appreciate that. And just before we get started on Mailbag, did you guys know, and I'm sure you didn't, and that includes I'm Salty and Brandon Katz, that Eddie George averaged less than 4 yards per carry in 7 out of his 9 NFL seasons? That's not elite. Brandon Katz, I agreed with you when you said that Jerome Bettis was overrated. But keep that same energy for Eddie George, who is basically in a lot of ways the same player, the 3.5 yards per carry merchant. The 400 carries for 1,400 yards merchant. Like 410 carries.
Sam,
yes.
Eddie George is just trying to enjoy his day. All right?
I was just comparing Derrick Henry
Eddie
to
George
former Titans running backs.
My man just caught a stray.
He
Eddie
did.
George. But I love it. Hey, you bring the facts. 3.6 yards per carry ain't the best, but still, Eddie George, just enjoy retirement. All right? Sam Flannel, he's just going to continue throwing strays at you. But I want to get to some of these mailbags. And they're already responding. I'm salty. 1,000 yards, 9 years in a row. Yeah, okay, bud.
I want to kick off mailbag here because I threw it in the chat. There's a rumor going around that Sam Flannel is wearing shorts today.
I am wearing shorts today. That is not a rumor that can be confirmed. I get it. I'm a crazy person, but once I go to shorts, I don't go back. That's just my rule at this point.
Yeah, he
committed.
Yeah, he's
I'm
committed. Michael Gentry, mailbag Jeff, Warriors in 4 or 5 against the Lakers next series, asking for a friend. You know what, Mike? Stay out of this. All right. Don't get in between me and LeBron. All right, it's very serious. Okay, the Warriors are not taking down the Lakers in 4 or 5. That's ridiculous. All right, you know better than that, Mike. Michael Gentry.
I'll answer that one.
Stick
for
to the
you.
Red Wings. All right,
Warriors in 5. That's okay.
What?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Oh, speaking of the Golden State Warriors, how convenient that Steph Curry is once again going to get to play an injured opponent. When I saw that De'Aaron Fox is probably out for Game 5, my heart just sank. It's like, again with freaking Steph Curry. Again, getting to play another... I mean, you got Kyrie and Kevin Love, Kawhi Leonard, Chris Paul, John Morant, and now De'Aaron Fox. How lucky can this guy get? It's ridiculous.
I love this. I love your, again, I mean, the legend killer, but you come after everybody, but even Steph Curry, who the nicest human being on the planet Earth.
Oh, come on.
But you also argue he's the luckiest.
Yeah, I mean, Steph Curry is the greatest shooter to ever play NBA basketball. He has 4 championships, 1 Finals MVP. He is, to me, the 11th best NBA player to ever walk the face of the planet.
The baby-faced assassin.
I mean, he ain't an assassin really in clutch situations, but I'll just.
God.
Hey,
he's on. Hey, Sam is off the. He really is. What Eddie George can get it, J-Mo can get it, Steph Curry can get it. I mean, who else we? I mean, there's a lot more. Ben Wallace can get it.
I think we need to make like a list.
Yeah,
it's getting
Sam,
to be
you have
extensive.
a hit list. I mean, Sam Flannel.
Oh sure.
Let's get to some of these questions I got here because now the show's off the rails. Now we're talking about Eddie George. Jamcat mailbag. The Lions went to every Florida Gator game this year. Is that because of AR-15, Torrance, or the linebacker? I think it could be for all 3. I mean, just to get a look at any of these players, I think Anthony Richardson probably the most attractive of the 3 because to see him in person. I mean, a Torrance, I feel like you don't go all the way to Florida to watch an offensive lineman, like typically, unless he's an elite offensive lineman. So Anthony Richardson, I think, clearly is the attraction there. I think they wanted to go watch AR-15. Why not?
See it
in person.
He's got immense talent and sort of physical stature.
Oh yeah, you got to see that in person.
See it.
Yeah, no question. I don't blame him for that.
But that's another story.
Huron Mark says Flannel Sam would say that Scotty Bowman just had good players.
I mean, he did have good players. I mean, Scotty Bowman is a great all-time coach, but yeah, those teams.
Watch it.
They were damn talented teams.
All right. D-Mac gets here in about 45 minutes, so we got to watch what we say here. Patty Grimes, mailbag, Gabby, what is the alcohol beverage of your choice? Patty Grimes asks.
I think for this Thursday, I'm a very situational person, but I think for this Thursday, I'm going to go with a Moscow Mule.
Moscow Mule, there you go.
Can't go wrong.
Jack Harrington says, mailbag, Gabby, who do you hate more, Florida or Clemson?
Florida.
Yeah, yeah. Direct
I don't even know why I needed to take a breath there to get that out.
Chaos. Oh, no, I'll start with Salty. He asked first. Mailbag, would you rather extend Goff or lose Ragnow and Decker? Salty, you know where I stand. I'm extending Ragnow and Decker. Goff can go. But where are you at?
God.
Losing Ragnow and Decker or extending Goff?
Oh, God. Probably extending... man, I can't. I literally can't. It's the toughest question that I've ever... Because I don't know if Taylor Decker is the long-term solution at left tackle, but Frank Ragnow's been one of the best centers in the league. I will probably say extend Ragnow and Decker by the skin of my teeth.
Yeah, that's a good question, Salty. Jesse asked mailbag, Gabby, what are your favorite types of movies and music? Second question, if you guys could own any wild animal, what would you pick?
Movies and music. I like anything funny. I hate scary movies. Anything serious, just not my jam. If I want to watch a movie, I want it to be lighthearted. And music, I like literally everything. Everything. Like I'm telling you, Luke Combs, went to that on Saturday, but also my last concert before that was Rammstein.
Oh, so you're bouncing.
And they're German heavy metal. So
yeah,
it's
So literally.
I have a nice palette.
Literally anything. And then second question, if you guys could own any wild animal, what would you pick? Wild animal. Why? Number one, why would you want to own a wild animal? But I guess if it's caged. I mean, Give me
I want one.
Give me a tiger. Give me a tiger, like Scarface, my favorite movie of all time. So I'll take a tiger.
I guess I would say a lion. I'm kind of with you. I'm not. I don't really do wild animals.
Scarface style. Give me a big old tiger, couple stogies in a big mansion, and yeah, I'm going that route. You don't have a wild animal? No interest in a wild animal.
I just don't.
Not even like a monkey following you around?
All I can say is that I don't want a gator.
No gator. JB, wild animal.
I mean, is a giraffe a wild animal? Like, I don't want any of these animals that get on me.
Giraffe
Like,
is a good one.
Your giraffe's going to have damn neck pain in your house. I mean, how big's your ceiling?
Well, it's not that big. He's going to have to live it out in the backyard. So I just don't want any of these animals that can eat me. I'm sorry.
That's fair,
He's got a
JB.
giraffe in the backyard. JB, I can't help but notice your neighbor. I mean, there's a big-ass giraffe in your backyard. But, no, I love it. A giraffe, hey, we'll roll with it. Why not? Dad with Tourette's, mailbag. Lions missed the playoffs again, but the offense is solid again. Do you fire DC and elevate Ben Johnson to assure he doesn't leave and the offense doesn't miss a beat? I'm going to be honest. If the Lions missed the playoffs, I would need some context. He said the offense is solid again. If anything, I think that sounds like you fire Aaron Glenn. If the defense completely is derailed, I don't think you fire Dan Campbell. It's the third year of a 6-year contract. I don't think, although, listen, you guys know how much I love Ben Johnson. Me and Adam have been fighting for him for years. But I don't think that's realistic to just fire Dan.
Well,
you know, is Jared healthy? Like, what's the context?
Right, you mentioned a lot of things when it comes to context. If the defense is, say, one of the worst in the league for a full season, maybe then you'd fire Aaron Glenn. Or if Dan Campbell, situational coaching, maybe he cost him a couple of games with his, which he has been known to do from time to time, although he's getting better. If he cost the team a game or two and they don't make the playoffs, then maybe you consider it. It depends on how they miss the playoffs, like Jeff said.
Yeah, that's important. Jess asks, Jess Kovacs, mailbag, what's your thoughts on Darnell Washington if we trade down from 18 or with one of our second-round picks? I'm actually on board. I like Darnell Washington. I'm a little less opposed to taking a tight end because I know people say, well, Jeff, we have Brock Wright, we have Shane Zylstra, we have James Mitchell. Like, cool.
Right.
Give me Darnell Washington. Or give me Sam Laporta. Like, I'm cool with a tight end. People differentiate. None in the first round.
Sure.
But I'm okay with taking a tight end in the second round.
I mean, anybody who acts like Brock Wright, Shane Zylstra, and James Mitchell were all great last year, that's tomfoolery.
They got production out of them.
They had production out of them.
Right.
They had good moments, but Darnell Washington, I wouldn't hate it. Not necessarily.
Yeah, he's an extension of your offensive line with upside in the pass game. Give me Darnell Washington. I'm on board with that. Jack asked, mailbag, Jeff, is Sam a bandwagon's Lakers fan? You can answer that, Sam.
I am a LeBron and AD fan. So, yes, by that logic, I am.
See, it's dangerous when me and you get up here together because we both defend LeBron.
Yeah.
It's so.
All right, I gotta ask this one from John Lord in the chat. Gabby, could you win a foot race against Juicy Jeff and Sam Flannel?
Yes.
I would argue yes against me because I think I ran a 6'4" 40-yard dash in high school. I've got lead feet, so yeah, you could beat me.
Are you sure?
Yep.
You confident?
Yep. I'm not cutting my hair for it, though. I learned from your mistakes.
Challenge accepted. There we go.
Okay. All right. I think I'd pull a hamstring when I take off, though. But
you're in your early 20s. You're not old, Jeff. Come on.
I gotta take some time to warm up. But once I get there, that'd be fun. Maybe if we, on Thursday, you never know. Maybe I'm outside of Fifth Ave running down the street. I don't know. That's why you have to come and see. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm not. Mailbag, where are you hiding Adam's body? Well, Adam's hiding at home. So there's where the body's at. Jesse asks, mailbag, who's the best swimmer at WSN?
Probably
I don't
Spencer.
know. I mean, typically we don't just go in pools here. So
It's probably Spencer.
You think Spencer?
Yeah. I think
All
he
right.
was all county in high school. I didn't see it, but that's what he says.
You say is that what he said?
Yeah.
Skinny Spencer?
I think he said he was slightly on the leaner side, but he said he was like 230 when he was a swimmer. So
wow.
Hey.
The people will have to ask him on Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to ask.
Live
Come
and
ask
in
Spencer
person.
that. I mean, I don't know if that's cap or not, but we got to find that out.
Or we could ask him on BDE later.
But thank you to all of you for tuning in today. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for Jeff Iafrate, JB, Gabrielle Phillips, Alex in the booth, and as always, my guy, Sam Flannel, for tuning in, jumping on the seat today to fill in for Adam Beydoun. Adam will be back tomorrow, hopefully. If he recovers or he's dead, I don't know. Adam, we love you. Until tomorrow, Morning Woodward Show, woodwardsports.com. See you later.